Chapter 30-32. Master, some energy is seeping in through the sacred mountain's defensive runes. Blood Fairy's words confirmed the Red Dragon warrior's words. The energy was seeping in slowly, but it was indeed seeping in. The patriarch of the Red Dragon race would not lie, which meant that the poisonous fog was strong. It was true that the poison could kill a warrior that was close to the completion of the Holy Realm. Luli was panicking. The poisonous fog had not seeped in yet. In 2 hours at most, the poisonous fog would be here. What should he do by then? Luli began to think of a way out. But what could he do if the sacred mountain was being suppressed? He would be suppressed as soon as he went out. If a warrior that was close to the completion of the Holy King realm could be poisoned to death, what could he do? Luli had gone through all the methods he could think of, but still, there was nothing he could do. In this kind of situation, no matter how he screamed, there was no response from the heavens and earth. Time moved on. Soon 2 hours had passed. The toxic air was still spreading. More than half of the holy mountain was covered in toxic fog. Luli could fly up for a while, but he could not run away forever. I will stay here. I want to see if the poisonous fog can kill me. Luli made up his mind. He could not run away anyway. He had to see if the poisonous fog was strong. The poisonous fog spread up slowly. Soon it reached Luli. The poisonous fog swarmed toward Luli like a hungry wolf that saw a lamb. The poisonous fog entered Luli's body through his pores. Luli turned pale after he sensed it. Like tiny worms, the poisonous mist split into strands that spread throughout his body and entered his soul. The poisonous fog did not attack him. Instead, it took root in his body and became one with his muscles, blood, bone marrow, and soul. It could not be separated. Then, the poisonous fog began to suck away the energy in Luli's body. His soul and his life essence could absorb any kind of energy, but it was slow. Bone maggots, slow-acting poison. Luli noticed that the dragon's soul did not react. It was proof of how horrifying the poisonous fog was. It was nibbling away at one's energy, one's life force, and one's soul bit by bit. The chi and energy in Luli's body were weakening. He was sickly, as if he had lost all his strength. At this moment, not much of the toxic mist had come in. Soon, more and more of it would pour in. His energy, his blood essence, his life force, and his soul would be devoured bit by bit. By that time, he would probably only be left with a layer of skin. Perhaps not even his skin would be left, only some hair. Luli didn't want to die like this. He tried his best to think of a way to expel the poisonous fog out. He sat cross-legged on the ground and gathered all the energy and soul power in his body to counterattack. He gathered a large amount of energy and tried to squeeze out the poisonous mist. It was just that his energy couldn't expel the poisonous mist because it was like a slippery little loach. His energy couldn't envelop that energy at all, so how could he expel it? Most importantly, Luli discovered something else. The poisonous mist could even corrode the energy he gathered. It was like trying to wrap a piece of paper around a flame. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't wrap it up. As time went on, more and more poisonous mist came out of Luli's body. He was getting weaker and weaker. It was as if he had been paralyzed. He didn't even have the strength to lift his hands. I think I am going to die here. Luli exhaled. Death was not scary. But he wasn't sure if the 4 sacred ancestors were dead. If they all died in the infinite desolate universe, then his death would be worth it. Luli was getting weaker and weaker. His consciousness was blurring as well. Too much of his life force had been devoured. He couldn't even move a finger. Buzzing. Right at that moment, the divine chains in Luli's land of magic glowed and rushed out to protect him. The divine chains of magic would come out to protect Luli when his life force was depleted. The divine chains of magic was moving around in Luli's body like a golden python. Everywhere the divine chains of magic moved, Luli's life force would recover. What? Luli was taken aback. Could the divine chains of magic drive away the poisonous mist? He checked his body at once, only to be disappointed. The divine chains of magic could not drive away the poisonous mist. They could only help him recover his life force. The poisonous mist was too horrifying. It could not be destroyed or driven away. Wait, right at that moment, Luli remembered something. Last time, the land of magic seemed to have absorbed energy from the pond and produced some drops of purple divinity liquid. Could he control the land of magic to suck the poisonous mist in? No matter what would happen to the land of magic, at the very least, the poisonous mist would not harm his body and soul. Previously, Luli thought that the land of magic could absorb energy and this was poisonous mist. They were two different things. Therefore, he didn't think about this. Now, the divine chains of magic reminded him. However, Luli could not use his origin energy to generate a swirl. How could he absorb the poisonous mist? Pond. Luli's eyes glowed. The holy mountain had been restored for a long time. There should be some energy in the pond now. He slammed his hand on the ground with difficulty, then his body tumbled into the heaven lake. As soon as Luli got into the pond, a swirl came into being in the land of magic. The swirl began to draw energy from the pond into the land of magic. Nice! Luli sensed it and was overjoyed. As the swirl moved, the energy in the pond, the toxic fog in his body, and even the toxic fog in the pond were all sucked into the Dharma realm. Bit by bit, the poisonous fog in Luli's body was led into the Dharma realm. However, the poisonous fog did not merge with the energy in the pond. Instead, there was a clear distinction between the poisonous fog and the energy in the pond. This is good. Luli didn't care if the land of magic was in trouble. He had to save his life first. If he could not absorb the poisonous mist, he would die for sure. But if he could, his body would be fine. An hour later, Luli noticed that the poisonous mist in his body had disappeared. Nothing was left. All of it had been absorbed into the land of magic. He sat with his legs crossed and took out some elixirs to heal his weakened body. Only in this way could he cope with changes. 2 hours, half a day. The patriarchs of the Red Dragon race were surprised. It had been a long time. How come Luli was still alive? Strong as the holy mountain was, they could still sense Luli's presence. Luli was still breathing. He was not dead. Is it because of the mountain? The two patriarchs could not figure it out, especially the one in charge of the infernal prison. He could tell that the poisonous mist had entered the holy mountain. How come Luli was still alive? He did not know. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Sect Leader's Mobile Version. Chapter 30-33. 5 days. 5 days had passed and Luli was still alive. The two Red Dragon race patriarchs could not figure it out. They sensed that Luli's life was vigorous and there was no sign of poisoning. Naturally, Luli was not poisoned since all the poisonous fog was absorbed by the realm of magic. The poisonous fog did not stay in his body and entered the realm of magic directly. It did not cause much harm to his body. Luli was not only absorbing the poisonous fog in his body. Due to the strong suction force of the swirl in the realm of magic, the realm of magic was actively absorbing the poisonous fog from outside. Luli checked for 5 days. The realm of magic did not change much after absorbing the poisonous fog for 5 days. The realm of magic was like a furnace that could absorb any kind of energy and melt it down. The furnace itself was not affected at all. The realm of magic was the purest energy in the pond. After the realm of magic refined it, there were 3 drops of purple divine liquid. What would come out of the prison of magic after the poisonous fog was melted down? Luli did not know. But he had a feeling that it would not be anything good. Since I am fine after taking in so much poisonous fog, why don't I take in more? Luli made up his mind. He asked Blood Fairy to turn off some glyphs in the mountain and let in more poisonous fog. Luli was looking forward to it. Would the realm of magic produce some drops of poisonous liquid after absorbing more poisonous fog? On the other hand, Luli wanted to destroy the holy weapon as well. The poisonous fog was the holy weapon's means of attack. Would the realm of magic break down after absorbing all the poisonous fog? Would it be unable to keep the mountain under control? What? The two red dragon race patriarchs were overjoyed to find that the poisonous fog was surging into the mountain faster. They had thought that the mountain's defense had been eroded by the poisonous fog and could no longer withstand the poisonous fog. If that was the case, then Luli would probably die soon. The prison of magic was a piece of treasure. Aoding used this holy weapon to kill a saint king who was close to the completion of the universe. That saint king was refined to death, which caused a sensation in the universe of Infinite Star. Aoding became famous after that battle and became one of the most powerful warriors in the universe of Infinite Star. A holy weapon that could kill a saint king who was close to the completion of the universe of Infinite Star could not kill a warrior of the Emperor realm? The two red dragon race patriarchs were not convinced. Soon, another 5 days passed. The two red dragons were dumbfounded. Luli was still alive. Not only did he not die, but his life force became more and more vigorous. That's not the point. More importantly, the Grand Elder who controlled the Devil Penitentiary had discovered that this supreme sacred weapon had become very weak, and it seemed like there were signs of problems. A large amount of poisonous fog was absorbed by Luli. Not even holy weapons could release poisonous fog endlessly, not to mention that this was no ordinary poisonous fog. Hence, the saint weapon was clearly becoming weaker. If this continued, the saint weapon might even have problems. Why is this happening? The two patriarchs could not figure it out. They didn't believe that Luli could do this. They had to attribute it to this strange mountain. Forget it. Don't let anything happen to Devil Prison. One elder said worriedly. Another elder shook his head and said, "What problem could there be? Could he destroy the Devil Prison? We have already taken a huge risk this time. If the desolate race were to pursue the matter, we would all be punished. Since we have done it, we should go all the way. If not, there will not be another chance. If this brat doesn't come out from the city, how can I kill him? How are we going to answer to the Cauldron Sovereign?" The other elder said nothing. What Luli said was right. Luli must have acquired many elixirs in there. He could easily buy a house in the Black Tortoise City. Luli had alerted the enemy. He might not come out after he went back. Time moved on. 3 days later, the two patriarchs gave up completely. The poisonous fog in the Devil Prison had thinned out. At this rate, even the saint weapon would be damaged. Buzzing. The patriarch put away the saint weapon. The two looked at each other, made up their minds and dashed forward. They were ready to risk it all and were ready to strike. Previously, they had set up a divine rune so that no one outside could sense what was going on. Therefore, if they could kill Luli, they could leave no evidence behind. When the Red Dragon family patriarch showed up, the two might be locked up for a period of time. 4 warriors at their age, tens of thousands of years could pass by in a blink of an eye. Boom, boom, boom. The two patriarchs began to move. Their attacks were ferocious. The sacred mountain suffered a heavy blow. Yet, not only did it not crack, it didn't even fall back. It only trembled. Luli was alarmed. He used psychic power to check. He snorted and said, "Are you showing your true colors? The saint weapon is useless now? You want to break the sacred mountain? You wish." Years ago, several saint emperors failed to crack the sacred mountain. Now, 2 saint emperors wanted to do it? Luli did not believe it. The 2 red dragon patriarchs' attacks were ferocious. Even the divine runes on the wall were glowing and shaking. If it were not for the fact that they had set up the divine runes, Lady Li and the others would have been alerted. An hour passed. After blasting for an entire hour, the holy mountain was safe and sound. The expressions of the 2 saint emperors became somewhat ugly, but they were secretly a little excited. Was this mountain really that strong? It must be a saint weapon of the same level as the Inferno. If they could come down, then the Red Dragon race would have another piece of treasure. Keep going. The two Saint Emperors did not believe this, and were prepared to continuously attack for a few months. They did not believe that the energy in the sacred mountain was endless. As long as the energy in the sacred mountain was exhausted, the sacred mountain could be broken. There were many treasures here. But the two Red Dragon Patriarchs were not interested in the other treasures except for this one. Another 5 days passed. The sacred mountain was still standing. But at this moment the sacred mountain moved. It flew toward the corridor like a sharp sword. You want to run? A glint of coldness rose in the two patriarchs' eyes. They had set up the divine runes. How could the sacred mountain fly away? If Luli came out, the two patriarchs could kill him easily. Soon, they were wrong. The divine runes they had set up glowed. Then a ray of red light flew out from the ground and into the sacred mountain. Luli did not move for several days, not because he could not move or because of the venom. He was waiting for Blood Fairy to crack the formation. She had sensed the divine runes. He wanted to fly the sacred mountain out of the tomb of Emperor Een and back to the Black Tortoise City. Boom! 3 miles later, the sacred mountain suddenly bumped into a wall of air. The mountain slowed down as if it had fallen into a swamp. It was difficult to move. There are more divine runes? Luli was puzzled. He did not expect that the two Red Dragon Patriarchs had set up a second line of defense. What? The two Red Dragon Patriarchs that were chasing after Luli were surprised as well. They did not set up the divine runes. That old man! The two Red Dragon Patriarchs came back to their senses. One of them came in before them. They had thought that the old man was in front of them. They did not expect that the old man was hiding and had set up the divine runes behind them. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Sect Leader's Mobile Version. Chapter 30-34. The rune was indeed built by this demon. He was hired by the Four-Armed Race, a famous demon in the underground world. The Four-Armed Race paid a great price to hire this demon. In return, they got Luli's body and the sacred mountain. The Four-Armed Race didn't care about the sacred mountain. They only wanted Luli dead. As long as they could kill Luli, the demon would be rewarded handsomely. The fact that they intercepted Luli at the celestial realm was known. The Four-Armed Race could not afford to lose face. Therefore, they had to wash away this humiliation. They had to kill Sacred Ancestor Tion and Sacred Ancestor Yun as well. But they could not do so in the Crimson Dragon realm. If the two Sacred Ancestors dared to come out, they would do it as well. Xiao Mo. This was the demon's nickname. He was famous in the underground world, but nobody had ever seen his face. He took on difficult missions. His completion rate was as high as 90%. Last time, Xiao Mo took on a mission to kill a patriarch of the 33 races. He spent 3 years to assassinate the patriarch and became famous. That big clan sent out many experts and used a lot of power, but they couldn't find any information about the Xiao Devil. Nobody knew who Xiao Mo was or where he was. Even if he showed up in front of that race, they wouldn't be able to recognize him. That was the terror of Xiao Mo. His disguise was unparalleled. Nobody could find him. He was the only one who could find you. It was easy to find him. But if he took a mission, you wouldn't be able to see him. The sacred mountain crashed into the air wall as if it was stuck in a quagmire. He didn't let Blood Fairy out right away. Blood Fairy was weak. He didn't know what was out there. If she died, then he wouldn't be able to control the rune on the sacred mountain. By then, he would have to die as well. He activated the Mark of the Great Path to sense the situation around him. After doing so, he was immediately shocked. He sensed that he was in a strange world. It was chaos. He could not sense the walls around him, nor could he sense the scenery around him. He could only sense chaos. What is this formation? It's amazing! Luli exclaimed. He knew there were many races and strange skills in the infinite region. Today, he finally saw it. The corridor was small, but he couldn't sense the walls or the floor. It was strange. Are there martial artists? Luli sensed a trace of life in the chaos. The powerful warrior must be in there. However, he felt that it was very indistinct. That life aura was erratic, and he couldn't pinpoint its specific location. Xiao! The two elders of the Crimson Dragon race walked towards the air wall. They sensed for a moment and their eyes lit up. One of them shouted, Chaos Array, is that the Xiao devil inside? Aou Aochi. A low voice came from within the air wall. It was also very fleeting. Don't worry about my business. After I'm done, I'll naturally leave. You can leave too. Deal with. The two grand elders glanced at each other. Aou said in a deep voice, I don't care if you want to kill that human brat, but that mountain must belong to my race. You want this mountain? The ethereal voice sounded again. It's not impossible. You can use your tribe's Crimson Dragon Immortal Herb to exchange for it. I'll give you this mountain later. Scarlet Dragon Immortal Grass? 100? Aou was taken aback for a moment before he sneered and said, Aren't you indulging in fantasy? Do you know how precious my race's immortal herbs are? How many celestial stones is one stalk worth? You want 100 stalks? Dream on. Then there's nothing to talk about. The Xiao devil's voice turned cold. You can either break into my chaos array and snatch it yourselves, or you can shut up. You are courting death. Aou was infuriated. He shouted, Xiao devil, you have offended many big races over the years. Now that you have exposed your identity, are you sure you can leave safely? You don't have to worry about my business. The Xiao devil replied indifferently, I just want to say one thing. Back then, the Heavenly Bone race wanted to kill me, but I killed 16 of their elders. If your Crimson Dragon race wants to try, I can accept it. Such arrogance! Aou and Aochi were infuriated. Their Crimson Dragon race had never been threatened like this before, let alone an old devil. Did this Xiao devil really think he was the Emperor Yin or Emperor Kuan? Swish! Aou and Aochi looked at each other before they charged towards the air wall. However, after the time for half an incense stick to burn, the chaos array didn't show any signs of movement. Instead, the two of them flew out, spitting out blood, and their faces were pale. The chaos array really lives up to its name. Aou clenched his teeth and sat down with his legs crossed. He shouted, All right, Xiao devil, we, the Crimson Dragon race, will get revenge for this. You are welcome any time. The Xiao devil replied coldly, But I have said it, if your race dares to make a move, then be prepared to be killed by me. Aou and Aochi didn't say anything else. They would only humiliate themselves if they said anything more. They had to wait until they got out of here before reporting this to their race. Luli couldn't see what was going on outside, but he could sense something from the inside. He noticed that Aou and Aochi came in and the chaos around them started to move. It was as if there were invisible swords stabbing at them from all directions. Though the swords didn't cause any physical damage to the two, their internal organs and souls were injured. The attack was powerful and sharp. It's your turn. The Xiao devil's voice was heard. I will give you two choices. First, come out and come with me to a place. It's your luck whether you live or die. Second, I will take your body out. Even though there are law enforcement team and powerful warriors of the wild race outside, I can still escape. Do you believe me? The Xiao devil's words were calm and confident. Luli felt that the Xiao devil could do it. But Luli chose to believe in the defense of the sacred mountain. The sacred mountain could even withstand soul attack. He didn't believe that the Xiao devil could break the defense of the sacred mountain. I choose the second option. As soon as Luli finished his words, the chaos around him began to move. Then, many streaks of swords stabbed into the mountain. What happened next shocked Luli. Those streaks of swords penetrated the defensive patterns on the mountain and reached him in an instant. How? Luli was taken aback. This Shao devil was freakish. He could ignore any kind of defense? Roar! Luli released Dragon Transformation, Origin Energy Armor, Dragon Wrestling and Heaven Armor at once. But as soon as the swords entered his body, he felt the threat of death. His powerful defense was like a thin sheet of paper that was easily pierced through. The sword intent began to attack his internal organs and soul. Okay, I have changed my mind. I choose the first option. I will go with you. In a split second, Luli shouted. He was not a coward. He was sure that if he didn't shout, he would die the next second. The Shao devil was freakishly strong. Luli could not stand it. There was a 90% chance that he would die if he went with the Shao devil. But there was still a chance of survival. If he didn't, he would die right away. You are asking for humiliation. The Shao devil emerged and said coldly, "Come out and leave the realm of flying immortals with me. Don't do anything or the strand of swords left in your soul will kill you instantly." Please remember this book's domain name. Third Master's mobile version. Chapter 30-35. Most of the sword intent was gone, but there was one strand of sword intent left in his soul. It was a powerful one. Luli believed that if he were to do anything rash, his soul would collapse in an instant. Therefore, Luli walked out obediently. Of course, as soon as he came out, he put away the holy mountain. Xiao Emo looked on coldly. He did not stop Luli. He took out a small pagoda and said, "To avoid unnecessary trouble, I think you should go into my interspatial artifact. Don't worry. I am only here on someone's request. Just come with me and I will hand you over to them. I will leave you alone. Before that, you will be safe as long as you don't act rashly." Xiao Emo held up the pagoda and stared at Luli, waiting for his decision. Luli had no other choice but to fly toward the pagoda. The pagoda glowed and Luli was taken in. Buzzing. The formation of primordial chaos disappeared. The two red dragon patriarchs were upset to see that Luli and the holy mountain were gone. It didn't matter if Luli was dead or alive. What mattered was the mountain. Ao Ding had specifically asked for the mountain. The two patriarchs knew that the mountain was a holy weapon. Whether Luli was alive or not, the mountain must be in the hands of Xiao Emo. Whoosh! Xiao Emo flew out. The two red dragon patriarchs were still badly injured, but they could not afford to worry so much. They followed Xiao Emo. Nearly 1,000 powerful warriors were sitting outside. Most of them were young warriors of the 33 races. There were also some patriarchs of smaller races and some old demons. Warriors of the 33 races had built many runes outside. That being said, those runes could only stop average warriors but not Saint Kings. The 33 races wanted to take over this place, but this was the realm of flying immortals after all. They could not fight openly. Therefore, there were more and more powerful warriors here. What happened to Luli had caught the attention of many powerful warriors. Luli had been in there for a long time. Nobody would believe that nothing had happened. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew over and the Shao devil turned into a gust of wind and floated out. By the time the experts sensed it, the Shao devil had already flown out. Whoosh! Two elders of the red dragon race dashed out. They didn't stop and immediately chased after him. Then, they flew up into the sky. Humph! An elder beside Miss Li snorted coldly and flew towards the hall that Luli had previously entered. If it was confirmed that Luli had been killed, the desolate race would definitely pursue the matter. Whether it was the Shao devil or the two elders of the Scarlet Dragon race, they had to pay the price. No one. The doyen quickly came out and shook his head at Miss Li. Miss Li immediately ordered, "Go inform the law enforcement team outside to investigate the situation. If he was killed, immediately track down the murderer." All right. After the patriarch left, A few experts from the law enforcement team quickly came in. The leader was a desolate race expert from the law enforcement team. He led a few experts into the small hall and soon found the place where Luli had disappeared. Buzz. The blue rhombus symbol in the middle of the desolate race expert's eyebrows lit up. Following that, scenes flashed in the royal family elder's eyes. Time reversal. This was a unique divine power of the desolate race. Not only could they reverse time, they could also see into the future. In other words, they could know what had happened in the past, and they could also sense what might happen in the future. Of course, sensing the future would not last too long, nor would it be completely accurate. This divine power had a lot to do with the desolate race's strength. The stronger the expert, the more perverse this divine power was. This divine power might not seem to be of much use, but it was actually very useful, especially in predicting the future. For example, if a desolate race expert were to fight another expert, he could predict his opponent's attack in advance. If their strengths were about the same, he would be in an invincible position. Furthermore, he could replay the previous battle, quickly finding the opponent's weakness. That was very terrifying. Your every move could be detected by the desolate race. Before you could even release any attack, he could predict your death. Then, he could think of a way to deal with it or avoid it in advance. How was the battle to be fought? The rhombus symbol in the middle of the desolate race's eyebrows actually had other divine powers, but it was not known to other races. For example, the ability to track the culprit was unique to their race. As long as there was a battle, and it did not take too long, they could sense it and track it. Shao Devil, Aochi, Aou. Moments later, a desolate race expert snorted coldly and said, they actually dared to make a move inside. Although they did not kill that human in the end, such actions must be punished. The other experts nodded slightly. As long as there was evidence, they had to be punished. This was the flying immortal world. If they were not punished, then anyone would dare to make a move in the future. When the news spread, the flying immortal world's hard-won reputation and order would be gone. It was very difficult to establish a reputation and order. It needed the accumulation of countless years. Destroying it was too simple. By killing a person inside, there was no way to pursue the culprit. When the news spread, the reputation and order would be destroyed. Old Ape, go back and report to the law enforcement hall. Ask them to pursue the three of them. The desolate race expert waved his hand as an elder flew away. The rest of the experts retreated and continued patrolling the area. Elder Chi, how's the situation? Miss Li and the other desolate race experts came out and asked the same question. The desolate race expert snorted coldly and said, the Red Dragon race's two elders and the Shao Devil took action. That human was taken away by the Shao Devil. We will report this matter to the law enforcement hall to pursue them. Countless experts were moved. It wasn't because of the Red Dragon race's two elders, nor was it because of Lu Li's capture. It was because of the Shao Devil. The Shao Devil actually appeared? These years, the Shao Devil had assassinated many experts. He had grudges with many races. Now that he appeared, he would be pursued by the law enforcement hall. This was a good opportunity for revenge. Swish, 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 swish. 60 experts had already rushed out towards the sky. Previously, they didn't know that the old demon was the Shao Devil. If they knew, they would have already taken action. The most terrifying thing about the Shao Devil wasn't his combat strength, but his concealment skills. If they could track him, many experts from large races could easily crush him. These 60 experts were from more than 10 large races. Basically, they all had grudges with the Shao Devil. They didn't chase after him to kill the Shao Devil. As long as they could track him, the Shao Devil would definitely be dead. Let's go and take a look. Miss Li was also interested. She wasn't interested in treasures. What didn't the desolate race have? This time, she came here to gain experience. Compared to treasure hunting, She was more interested in the Xiao Devil. This was the strongest expert in the underground world. She wanted to see if he could escape from the law enforcement hall and so many large races. Swish! Once Miss Li left, many experts from large races followed suit. The Xiao Devil's appearance, the law enforcement team, and countless large races were chasing after him. A good show was about to begin. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Masters Mobile Version. Chapter 3036. Xiao Mo had a miraculous skill, invisibility. It was not just invisibility but complete invisibility. If he didn't move, not even a powerful Saint Emperor could see him when he passed by. This was the reason why Xiao Mo could stay alive for so many years. Otherwise, he would have been killed by that big race. After Xiao Mo flew out, he flew into the distance. The two Red Dragon race's patriarchs were hot on his trail. At the same time, they used a special method of communication to ask for help from powerful warriors of their race. The two patriarchs of the Red Dragon race were not weak, and they had some tracking skills. Xiao Mo couldn't get rid of the two powerful warriors for a while. Xiao Mo was strong. Half a day later, he managed to get rid of the two patriarchs of the Red Dragon race. He went into a small world, circled around, and came out from the other side. After one round, he was sure that he had gotten rid of the patriarchs of the Red Dragon race. Then, he ran in another direction. But 6 hours later, he realized he was being tracked again. The law enforcement team of the Celestial Realm was sent out. There were powerful trackers. Xiao Mo also has a super strong ability. He can sense when someone is following him. With this ability and invisibility, he could become the king of the underground world. After flying for 2 hours, he found a piece of empty space. His body lay on top of the stone. Then, his body gradually faded and disappeared into thin air. Not only was he invisible, he was gone as well. Not only was he not breathing, he was not even alive. It was as if there was nothing here. Impressive. Luli was in this person's interspatial artifact, so he could not use psychic power. But he could use the trace of Tao to sense that this Xiao Mo was gone. He could not sense anything. "Punk, do you want to die?" Xiao Mo suddenly said. He snorted. "If you dare to use psychic power again, I will kill you right away." Luli didn't dare to act rashly. The Xiao demon's senses were too strong, and its stealth skills were too freakish. Not even a Saint Emperor could sense it if he were to pass by. Half a day later, a huge cold steel warship passed by nearby. Dozens of powerful divine senses swept over and scanned the void wasteland a few times. Then, the cold steel warship broke through the void and disappeared into the distance. Amazing! Luli didn't sense what was going on outside. That being said, he did sense the strong qi and energy of so many powerful warriors passing by. But there was no fighting going on outside. Therefore, the truth proved that the Xiao demon's concealment technique was heaven-defying. Even Saint Emperors were unable to detect it. Xiao Devil didn't move and continued to hide here. Half a day later, another cold iron warship flew by. Countless spiritual senses swept over, but they didn't find Xiao Devil. The warship left quickly. Xiao Mo didn't move. He hid here for a full 10 days. In these 10 days, dozens of warships had flown past, as well as thousands of experts and scouts. None of the experts discovered Xiao Devil. These few days, there were no more experts searching the vicinity, so Xiao Devil started to move. His body actually grew bigger as horns grew out of his head. His aura grew weaker as he became a thear-cranked, formidable martial artist. His appearance actually changed to that of a red dragon race. Amazing! Luli sensed it casually and was impressed. Xiao Mo also noticed that Luli was sensing him, but he didn't say anything. Luli had been well-behaved during this time. Even when powerful warriors passed by, he didn't release his qi and energy to alert them. The four-armed race proposed that if they could bring Luli back alive, the price would be much higher. Therefore, as long as Luli didn't make trouble, the four-armed race wouldn't say anything. After he transformed into a crimson dragon, he swaggered into the distance. However, his senses were very sharp, and he would avoid any fluctuations in the vicinity in advance. 3 days later, a warship flew by. Xiao Mo didn't show any fear. Instead, he just stood in the void. When the warship flew over, some psychic powers came over but didn't pay much attention. On the surface, he seemed to be at the Arch realm, but Xiao Mo was a Saint Emperor. They were not on the same level. Therefore, those powerful warriors didn't pay much attention. Along the way, Xiao Mo ran into more warships and scouts. Another 5 days later, Xiao Mo changed his appearance to that of another major race. He also pretended to be a scout 1 month. For an entire month, not only the law enforcement team of the universe of Flying Celestial, but also the Red Dragon race and other major races were searching for Xiao Mo. In total, there were more than 100,000 scouts. They searched an area with a radius of billions of miles, but they couldn't find Xiao Mo. Xiao Mo felt he had vanished from the world. Not only could he not be found, there was no trace or clue. This made the powerful warriors of the Hall of Law Enforcement of the universe of Flying Celestial furious. The 2 founding patriarchs of the Red Dragon race had been captured. Xiao Mo was the only one left. If they couldn't capture Xiao Mo, the powerful warriors of the Hall of Law Enforcement of the universe of Flying Celestial would feel humiliated. How could they establish their authority in the future? Lady Li was excited. She took a warship with 2 powerful warriors of the wild race and followed the team. She didn't want to follow Xiao Mo. She was just here to enjoy the show. The more Xiao Mo couldn't find Xiao Mo, the more excited she was. She felt she was watching a good show. The powerful warriors of the Hall of Law Enforcement were hopping mad. The Red Dragon race and many other major races were furious. The more they were like this, the more Lady Li found it interesting. Usually, these major races were high and mighty. No one dared to provoke them. Now, someone suddenly provoked them, and they couldn't even catch him. This made Lady Li feel like she was playing hide and seek when she was young. It was very interesting. We can't wait any longer. In a huge warship, a powerful warrior of the Desolate race shouted, "The longer we delay, the harder it will be to find him. We can only ask Ancestor Prestige to make a move. As long as Ancestor Prestige makes a divination, he can easily find Xiao Mo. The reputation of the Flying Celestial World's Law Enforcement Hall cannot fall into our hand." Ask Ancestor Prestige? The other warriors looked at each other. Ancestor Prestige was one of the patriarchs that guarded the Flying Celestial World. If they were to alarm him now, it would mean that they were useless. At that time, the Hall Master of the Law Enforcement Hall would probably give them a good scolding. Ancestor Prestige was also from the Desolate race. He had a very powerful divine power that was divination. If Ancestor Prestige made a move, it would be very easy to divine the approximate location of Xiao Mo. It would be much easier to track him. Asking Ancestor Prestige to find Xiao Mo would make the important figures of the Flying Celestial World look down on them, thinking that they were useless. If they didn't invite him, and Xiao Mo really escaped, then the reputation of the Flying Celestial World's Law Enforcement Hall would be ruined. If this matter was blown out of proportion, the reputation of the Flying Celestial World's Law Enforcement Hall would be ruined. Forget it, let's ask Ancestor Prestige together. A commander of the Law Enforcement Hall shook his head and said, "Even if we get scolded, it's better than our Law Enforcement Hall's reputation being ruined. You guys continue to track him. I will bring old he back personally. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Masters Mobile Version." Chapter 3037. Flying Immortal World, Sacred City. In an ancient grand hall, The commander of the law enforcement hall knelt on one knee with another desolate race, sacred emperor. An old man sat cross-legged in the hall with his eyes closed. His body was covered in a black robe. The commander and the desolate race elder had been kneeling there for more than 2 hours, but the old man didn't say a word. After another hour, the old man finally moved, but he didn't open his eyes. Instead, he threw out a beast shell and said, "Commanderly, take this and go to the vicinity of Dream Garden Planet. As long as you get close to the target, the beast shell will light up. This thing can only be used for 3 months. If you can't find him in 3 months, don't come looking for me." "Thank you, Ancestor Fu." Commander Li and the desolate race experts were overjoyed. Ancestor Fu had finally made a move. It wasn't that Ancestor Fu didn't care about them during this period of time. He was just secretly divining. Commander Li quickly left the Grand Hall with Old He and left the flying immortal world. They boarded a battleship and flew towards Dream Garden Planet at the fastest speed possible. At the same time, he sent a message to the enforcers and they flew towards Dream Garden Planet. The enforcers gathered a few scouts and flew towards Dream Garden Planet. The moment the enforcers made their move, the other large races also noticed it and they all headed towards Dream Garden Planet. The enforcers intentionally or unintentionally released the news. Naturally, they wanted to use the power of the large races to surround Dream Garden Planet. Frost metal battleships whizzed over in a grandiose manner, blotting out the sky. There were also countless scouts heading towards that direction. Within half a month, more than 100,000 soldiers and scouts, as well as experts from various races, had gathered within a radius of billions of miles. Xiao Mo was indeed in the vicinity of this region. Ancestor Fu indeed had a heaven-defying divine power. Even when he flew to the immortal world, he was able to divine the approximate location of Xiao Mo. Such a divine power was indeed shocking. Xiao Mo had now become a scout for a large race. He felt that something was amiss recently. The number of scouts in the vicinity had clearly increased. Not only did the number of scouts increase, the number of battleships and experts also increased. This was clearly not right. There was definitely an expert who had tracked his whereabouts. He had no other choice. He didn't dare to continue forward. Although his disguise skills were very strong, it was still possible for him to be discovered. His eyes flashed as he took out a map. Finally, his eyes locked onto an interface. Flaming Star. This realm was quite famous, and it was an extremely dangerous realm. It wasn't occupied by any great clans, and was instead a realm shared by the 33 great clans. Because this world could not be occupied, one could not stay in it for a long time. It was filled with fire, endless fire. There were no living creatures inside, not even ferocious beasts. It was a sea of fire. Emperors wouldn't be able to last more than an hour inside. Saint Emperors could stay inside, but there were many places that ordinary Saint Emperors wouldn't dare to enter. There were many top-notch god materials here, and these god materials could only be collected by the 33 races. Moreover, they could only be collected once every 5 years. Usually, the outer perimeter of Planet Flame was sealed, and all the entrances were covered with divine runes. Usually, there would be experts from the 33 races patrolling the perimeter. If experts from other races dared to enter, they would be hunted down by the 33 races. There weren't any good places to hide nearby, only the Flame Star was suitable for hiding. Xiao Mo believed that as long as he hid there for 8 to 10 years, it would be impossible for so many experts to search for him indefinitely. He quickly flew in that direction, keeping a low profile along the way. Moreover, when he sensed the fluctuations, he immediately dodged to avoid the chance to meet with the powerhouses. Commander Li and Old He hadn't arrived yet, and the beast shell that Ancestor Fu gave him wasn't here yet. Therefore, even if the powerhouses got close to Xiao Mo, they wouldn't be able to discover him. Xiao Mo's disguise technique was heaven-defying, otherwise, he wouldn't have been discovered for so long. When Commander Li and Old He arrived at Dream Garden Planet, Xiao Mo had already arrived outside of Flame Star. Every entrance here was sealed, and there were patrols from the 33 races nearby. But to Xiao Mo it was nothing. He easily avoided the patrols, and after deciphering the divine runes on one of the entrances, he stealthily entered Flame Star and restored the divine runes on the entrance. After Xiao Mo entered Flame Star, he discovered that it was no different from the rumors. The first thing he saw was a sea of fire, and the temperature was terrifying. There were no mountains, no water, no forest, nothing at all. There was only a boundless sea of fire. The flames below were orange in color, but from afar, Xiao Mo could see green, purple, blue, black, white, etc. Swish! Xiao Mo flew down. With his strength, the orange flames didn't have any effect on him, other than feeling a little hot. Xiao Mo snuck into the orange flames. The flames were high, thousands of feet in height. It was easy to hide in the flames because psychic power couldn't reach out. Otherwise, the flames would burn him and his soul would be hurt. Xiao Mo looked around and realized that it was still not safe enough. There were so many powerful warriors out there, and they must have tracked him down. Therefore, after they searched the area, they would probably lock onto Flame Star. Xiao Mo must find a safe place and hide for a few years. When the pursuers left, he could leave. After all, he had Luli. He could trade with the four-armed race at any time. Xiao Mo moved forward quickly in the flames. After 5 days, he finally found a good place. It was an underground cave, underneath a patch of black flames. The black flames were horrifying. Not even Xiao Mo could stand it. Xiao Mo went to the underground cave, which was filled with flames as well. The flames came from the core of the earth. Xiao Mo followed the cave and went down for hundreds of feet. Then, he built a powerful divine rune in one of the caves to weaken the flames. He was already hundreds of feet underground. Not even the psychic power of a warrior close to the great perfection of Saint King could find him. Unless a Saint King came down to search for him, no one could find him. Xiao Mo's senses were amazing. Once a Saint King came down, he could sense it and run away. There was more than one tunnel underground. He was at the intersection of 3 underground tunnels. It was easy for him to escape. Outside, Commander Li had arrived at Dream Garden Planet as fast as he could with the beast shell given by Ancestor Fu. Then, he flew around to search. Naturally, he was faster than the battleship. He spent half a month to search the area but didn't find Xiao Mo. He trusted Ancestor Fu completely. If Ancestor Fu said Xiao Mo was nearby, then it must be. Since he couldn't find Xiao Mo, it could only mean one thing. Xiao Mo must be hiding. He didn't go near Xiao Mo. He took out a map and began to study it. In the end, he locked onto 3 places, 2 wastelands and fiery planet Hor. He was sure that Xiao Mo must be hiding in one of the 3 places. As long as he searched with the beast shell, he would be able to find Xiao Mo. If he could find Xiao Mo would not be able to escape. As long as I find you, I will hang your head above the sacred city. Commander Li murmured hatefully. His body streaked across the sky and flew towards a wasteland. Please remember this book's domain name. 3rd Sect Leader's mobile version. Chapter 3038. After half a month, Commander Li finished searching the 2 wastelands. He was disappointed that he didn't find any Xiao Devil in the wastelands. He looked towards Planet Flaming. At the same time, there were many experts gathered outside of Planet Flaming. Actually, many experts suspected that Xiao Devil was hiding there because Planet Flaming was too easy to hide in. Planet Flaming was too big and there were flames everywhere. It was very difficult to search for Xiao Devil on Planet Flaming. Commander Li could only rely on the beast shell that Ancestor Fu gave him. The problem was that Ancestor Fu said that the beast shell could only be used for 3 months. Took him half a month to get here from Flying Immortal World and more than a month to search. Now, he could only use it for a month. If he couldn't find Xiao Devil in a month, it would be very troublesome. Ancestor Fu said that if he couldn't catch Xiao Devil this time, then he shouldn't look for him in the future. Commander Li would definitely be punished. He didn't know what kind of punishment he would receive. He only knew that it would be very embarrassing, not just for him, but also for the law enforcement hall. Everyone go in and search. At the same time, send a message to all the nearby Saint Emperors. Spread a net and enter Planet Flaming. Also, surround Planet Flaming, don't let even a bird go. After Commander Li gave the order, he immediately entered Planet Flaming and searched with the beast shell in his hand. After spending 10 days, he had circled the entire fire world once, but the beast shell did not light up. This made Commander Li doubt his own judgment. Ancestor Fu's ability was verified and the treasure he gave him was definitely useful. Why couldn't he find it? Then there must be something wrong with his method and thinking. The beast shell needed to be close to it to light up. How close was that? The flames under Planet Flaming were very strong. If Xiao Devil was hiding in the depths of the flames, would the beast shell not be able to detect it? Commander Li didn't know. He could only dive into the depths of the flames to search. At the same time, he hoped that the other experts would be able to find something on Planet Flaming. He had a feeling that Xiao Devil was probably on Planet Flaming because it was the best place to hide. He continued to traverse through the flames, even risking injury to enter the terrifying flames to search the area. 2 days, 10 days, 20 days. The 3-month deadline that Fu Zhu had mentioned was almost up, and the beast shell could lose its effect at any time. However, Commander Li still hadn't found anything, not even a single clue. According to the news from various places, there were at least 40 sacred emperors that had entered this time. Even a young lady of their desolate race had entered. Commander Li couldn't help but feel helpless that so many experts hadn't discovered anything. Buzz, as he entered the black flames, the beast shell in Commander Li's hand lit up. At first, Commander Li thought the beast shell was about to lose its effect, but as he advanced, the beast shell grew brighter and brighter. Found it! He stared at the beast shell for a while, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Just as he was about to move forward and confirm the exact location of the Xiao Devil, the beast shell suddenly broke into pieces. The time was up, the beast shell had lost its effect. Xiao! Commander Li wasn't in a hurry to search inside. Instead, he flew up into the sky and summoned all the experts of the Law Enforcement Hall through a special communication method. 3 days. In just 3 days, the experts of the Law Enforcement Hall had arrived from all directions. There were 13 sacred emperors. Not only the Law Enforcement Hall, but the experts of the other major races were also here. Lady Li and 2 sacred emperors were also here. If I'm not mistaken, he should be down there. Commander Li's eyes flickered. He ordered the experts of the Law Enforcement Hall, all of you go down later. When you find the target, keep him busy. We want him alive. Yes. More than a dozen sacred emperors charged down like sharp swords. They were scattered around the black flames. Soon, they found a few underground passageways and charged into them. Xiao Devil, who was hundreds of thousands of feet underground, sensed it immediately. After all, there were so many experts around. He didn't panic nor was he in a hurry to escape. Xiao! The fire immunity divine runes he had set up dissipated. He released a wisp of his aura and dashed towards the passageways, leaving behind some faint traces in each passageway. He didn't leave through the passageways. Instead, he returned to the place where he had set up the fire immunity divine runes. With a light leap, he stuck to the ceiling of the cave like a bat. Buzzing, his body shone faintly, and then he disappeared from where he was. Just like how he attached himself to the void waste rock back then, he disappeared without a trace, without any aura. Xiao! A moment later, 2 silhouettes arrived. One of the old men looked around and exclaimed, "Commander Li, there are traces here." There are divine runes here. Xiao. Many experts flew out from the passageways. They scanned the surroundings and found many traces. There are still some traces left. He was here just now. He just ran away. This is a fire immunity divine rune. It was activated just now and it was deactivated just now. Xiao Devil was here just now. He just ran away. Go after him. The dozen sacred emperors had some tricks up their sleeves. They easily found the traces left by Xiao Devil. A group of experts searched around and made sure that Xiao Devil wasn't hiding nearby. Then, they split into several groups and went after the Xiao Devil. Soon, the news spread out. The experts from the major races who were searching outside set up traps and surrounded the area. After setting up an inescapable net, it's impossible for the Xiao Devil to escape in any direction without making a sound. All the experts were excited. Did they finally find the old demon? So many experts searched for so long. They even heard that the law enforcement hall asked Ancestor Fu to tell the future. The strongest expert in the underground world, the Xiao Devil that was said to be untraceable, was he finally going to be caught and killed by them? Isn't it too early to be happy? Outside the area of black flames, Miss Li's white armor lit up and blocked the powerful flames. She saw the experts from the major races were glowing. She said to the old man from the desolate race beside her, "It has been 5 minutes. Commander Li and the other experts are still chasing after Xiao Devil, right? They haven't started fighting even after 5 minutes? Doesn't this mean that they found Xiao Devil's tracks but haven't found him yet? They are so fast. If they haven't found him in 5 minutes, they might never find him." Miss Li's analysis makes sense. The old man nodded slightly. He pondered for a moment and said, "But Xiao Devil won't be able to escape this time. I just saw Bu Qianfan of the Bu race use his race's secret treasure to set up the Heaven and Earth Mystic Shadow Array. This area has been sealed. It's almost impossible for Xiao Devil to escape without a trace. As long as he can't escape, it's only a matter of time before he is found." Yes. Miss Li's eyes lit up. She nodded and said, "It's indeed a matter of time before he is found. Now let's see how long he can last. I am very curious about this Xiao Devil's true identity and race." Chapter 30-39. Xiao Mo also knew that he was in big trouble. He didn't know why the enemies were so sure that he was here, but with so many experts searching underground, how could there be no problems? He didn't dare to move and couldn't move. But if he didn't move, he would be found sooner or later. It was a very simple logic. The enemies had destroyed this entire cave and sent out carpet-style attack. Where could he hide? Once he was exposed, he would be targeted by the experts, and it would be hard for him to escape. He muttered for a moment and decided to wait for another half a day to see if there would be less martial artists searching. If there were less, he would escape. If there were too many, he had to take the risk and go underground. The higher he went, the more dangerous it would be. He had to follow the tunnel all the way to the core. The flames in the core might be terrifying, but it was better than waiting for death here. Half a day had passed, and there were still a lot of experts coming to this tunnel. Almost every 15 minutes, there would be an expert passing by below him. Go! Xiao Mo knew that he couldn't wait any longer. Otherwise, he would really die here. He didn't dare to show himself and could only slowly move along the top of the tunnel. His perception was extremely insane. Once an expert got close, he would stop immediately and only continue to move forward after the expert had left. Boom! Boom! After advancing for 1 hour, an explosion came from the tunnel above. Those experts had indeed started to attack the tunnel from above. This way they wouldn't destroy the tunnel. Swish! Xiao Mo started to increase his speed. The experts in the tunnels above all started to attack. The carpet-style attacks were just to force him to show himself. After spending 1 hour, Xiao Mo rushed to the bottom. This was the Earth's core sea, and it was filled with black flames. Xiao Mo couldn't take it anymore. Fortunately, he had a cardinal artifact which withstood the terrifying flames and didn't burn him. Otherwise, he would leave behind a scent which would be easily tracked. After arriving at the Earth's core sea, Xiao Mo didn't feel safe. Since those experts had attacked all the way down, the Earth's core sea would definitely do the same. There was no place for him to hide. Xiao Mo shuttled through the Earth's core sea and quickly found a spring, or rather a fire eye. All the flames in the Earth's core sea came from here. However, the temperature of this fire eye was much higher. If he followed the fire eye, would there be even more terrifying flames below? Xiao Mo wasn't sure about this. Boom, boom, boom. The explosions above were getting louder and louder. Xiao Mo gritted his teeth and charged towards the fire eye. He had nowhere to run now. The only thing he could do was to seek survival in the face of death. He dove into the fire eye and flew downwards. The fire eye's passageway was very deep, and he actually flew for nearly 100,000 zhang. At this point, the temperature was already frighteningly high. His skin and muscles were already starting to burn, and he couldn't help but smell burnt. Damn it! Xiao Mo was a bit angry. Once the smell spread out, if there were experts here, they would be able to sense it easily. At that time, even more experts would come. What should we do? Xiao Devil's eyes darted around. This was probably the most dangerous situation he had ever been in. Right now, he no longer wished to complete the mission, he only wished to survive. That's right, that human brat. Xiao Devil's eyes turned and an idea popped up in his head. He could lure the tiger away from the mountain and let that human kid lure the experts away while he escapes in another direction? No, soon, Xiao Devil shook his head. Luli was only at the Emperor realm. He would be burned to death as soon as he came out. Even if he didn't, how far could Luli go given his abilities? How long could he lure the enemies away? By then, Xiao Devil's plan would backfire. Let's go. Xiao Devil made up his mind and wandered around. It was not an ocean down there, but several passageways. All of them were filled with black flames, and the temperature was much higher than before. His skin was burning all the time, and there was a burnt smell coming from time to time. If there were powerful warriors coming down here, there would be nowhere for him to run. He wasn't afraid of those powerful warriors, but he was afraid of being followed. The realm of Flying Celestial was full of powerful warriors. There were powerful warriors from the more than a dozen major races that were chasing after him. Once he was surrounded, those powerful warriors would be alerted sooner or later even if they couldn't kill him. He was not invincible. How could he survive? He walked along the passageway for an hour. The passageway was still extending underground. Where would it lead to in the end? Another 2 hours later, Xiao Devil suddenly sensed a surge of horrifying energy. Instead of being afraid, Xiao Devil was overjoyed. Powerful creatures of fire attribute were born in the underground flames. He could tell that they were no weaker than Saint Emperors. More importantly, there were quite a number of them. Taking advantage of the chaos to escape. This was what Xiao Devil was best at. He could lure the underground creatures up and let them attack the powerful warriors outside. Then, he could take advantage of the chaos to escape. He consumed some elixirs and rested for a moment. Then, he concealed his energy and went down. At the same time, he began to sense the powerful creatures of fire attribute. It is the legendary imps of fire. After a moment, Xiao Devil was surprised. Imps of fire were one of the 10 most ferocious creatures of the ancient times. They were strange spirits born from powerful flames. Once upon a time, imps of fire went on a rampage in more than a dozen universes, resulting in the death of hundreds of millions of warriors. In the end, the imps were suppressed by a powerful warrior. How come there were imps of fire on the fire planet? Didn't the 33 races send any powerful warriors down to investigate? Regular imps of fire were not intelligent, but imp kings were. Once they went on a rampage, they could cause harm. Could it be that the imps of fire are from the fire planet? The 33 races have always known about the existence of imps of fire, but they have already eliminated them? Shao Devil deduced. He was a little surprised because he wasn't sure if there was a imp king down there. If there was, he would definitely die. If it was just a regular imp, he could make good use of it because imps of fire weren't intelligent. I'll risk it. Shao Devil gritted his teeth. He had no other choice but to cause the imps to go on a rampage and restrain the powerful warriors of Fire Planet. Only then would he have a chance to escape. He went down stealthily and soon, he arrived at an underground fire pond. The imps of fire were in the fire pond. The flames here had turned purple and the temperature was a few times higher. Boom, 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 boom. Shao Devil made his move. He wasn't a weakling and was considered powerful among the Saint Emperors. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to assassinate the Saint Emperors of the big races. The moment he made his move, the fire pond below exploded. Some of the imps of fire were directly dispersed by him. It was unknown if they were killed or not. Huge waves were set off in the fire pond. Some of the rocks in the fire pond exploded and the underground was in chaos. Woo woo woo. Sharp and strange cries sounded, following which balls of purplish-green flames emerged from the fire pond. They condensed into the shape of monsters and chased after Shao Devil crazily. Go! Shao Devil quickly turned into a sharp sword and rushed up with his fastest speed. It didn't matter if there was a imp king. If he was surrounded by the imps of fire, he would still die. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Leader's mobile version. Chapter 3040. Commander Li did give an order, which was to let all the experts attack indiscriminately to force the Shao Devil out. He was sure that the Shao Devil was hiding somewhere and had a technique that could hide from all the experts. No matter what technique it was, the Shao Devil wouldn't disappear for no reason. The indiscriminate attacks would be able to force it out. There was no one living in the fire world. In any case, it didn't matter if some places were destroyed. Even if this place was blasted into smithereens, it didn't matter. All the experts listened to Commander Li's order, including the Crimson Dragon race. Although Commander Li captured Aou and Aochi, it didn't affect their cooperation. Commander Li wanted to capture the Shao Devil. The Crimson Dragon race wanted to take over the Saint Mountain. There was no conflict between them. The Crimson Dragon race also wanted to kill the Shao Devil. They had the same goal. Boom, 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 boom. Mountains crumbled, the underground passageway collapsed, the area within 1,000,000 miles was under the attack of the experts. But there was a huge formation set up by one of the experts. The Shao Devil wouldn't be able to escape from this area, it would be forced out sooner or later. All the nearby underground passageways were filled with Saint Emperors. They would destroy the passageways bit by bit, leaving no place for the Shao Devil to hide. Boom, boom, boom. In one of the passageways, 5 Saint Emperors were destroying the passageway as they flew downward. They were already very close to the Sea of Fire. At this moment, they heard a strange cry, countless strange cries, and a terrifying aura. Fire imps. One of the experts sensed it and his expression changed drastically. He was an expert from the 33 races. He naturally knew about the existence of the fire imp. Shao Devil guessed it right. Every once in a while, the experts from the 33 races would come to eliminate a batch of fire imps. If a fire imp king was born, they would kill it immediately. They knew how powerful the fire imps were. That was why this expert didn't hesitate and shouted, "Run to the surface, don't let the fire imps get close to us, otherwise we will all die." Swish, swish, swish. The other Saint Emperors also heard of the famous fire imps. They took out their weapons, destroyed the ground, and rushed out. Below them, groups of fire imps swarmed out and chased after the group of experts. Alright. In the underground passageway, Shao Mo hid in a corner. He didn't give off any aura, but he successfully lured the fire imp out. Then, he turned invisible immediately. The fire imps couldn't sense his aura, so they could only lock onto the strong ones and attack. So many fire imps, very good. The Shao Devil was overjoyed when he saw that there was an endless stream of fire imps charging forward. There were at least thousands of them. If these thousands of fire imps were to charge up, the powerful beings up there might not be able to handle them. By then, those powerful beings would definitely be chased around in all directions. That would give him a chance to escape. Wait a little longer. Shao Devil is prepared to wait for an hour. After an hour, it will be the most chaotic time outside and also the best time for him to escape. Swish, swish, swish. The ground outside exploded as those experts flew out. Commander Li was right above, and when he saw the expressions of those experts, his expression changed drastically. He asked in a deep voice, "What happened?" "The fire imps are on the rampage." An expert roared and waved his hand. "Everyone, retreat. We won't be able to hold them off. There are so many fire imps. Shao Devil is really down there." Killing intent surged in Commander Li's eyes. The fire imps are on the rampage, it must be Shao Devil's doing. What should we do? Commander Li pondered. Shao Devil will definitely follow them and escape. If they retreat now, it will be harder to track them down. If they don't retreat now, the fire imps will rush out and some of them will die. Fire imps? Miss, retreat. High up in the sky, an expert beside Miss Li heard the conversation below and immediately shouted with a nervous expression on his face. Miss Li's eyes were filled with excitement. She waved her hand and said, "What are you afraid of? Commander Li and the others haven't retreated yet. Even if the fire imps rush out, they will be the ones holding them off. Moreover, aren't you two elders beside me? How can these fire imps hurt me? Let's wait and see." Miss. The old man smiled bitterly and said, "Who knows if there are fire imp kings among the fire imps down there? If there are, all of them will die. So, miss, you must leave now." "Didn't we just wipe them out 100 years ago?" Miss Li said disapprovingly. "There was no fire imp king 100 years ago. It can't be a fire imp king in 1,000,000 years, right? Moreover, I have the treasure given to me by Ancestor Fu. Even if there is a fire imp king, it can't kill me. Alright, if you keep protecting me like this, when can I become a true expert? Ancestor Fu asked you to protect me, not to spy on me." The two old men didn't know what to say. Miss Li was of high status and they didn't dare to kidnap her. They could only watch the situation below. Woo woo woo, soon more and more fire imps rushed out. Commander Li didn't retreat in the end. He wanted to see if he could suppress these fire imps. He had a strong feeling that Shao Devil must be down there, and these fire imps must be drawn out by Shao Devil. Therefore, if they could suppress these fire imps, Shao Devil would have nowhere to hide and could be easily found and killed. Kill all the fire imps, Shao Devil is nearby. Commander Li shouted and led the way towards the fire imps. The rest of the law enforcement team's formidable martial artists looked at each other and followed helplessly. Some of the great race's formidable martial artists nearby had already retreated to the sky while others gritted their teeth and charged forward as well. Firstly, they had some confidence in their own battle strength. Secondly, they didn't want Shao Devil to escape. If not, they would become a laughingstock. The result was tragic. Although Commander Li's battle strength was very strong, he was able to kill groups of fire imps and turn them into nothingness. However, many other formidable martial artists didn't have as strong a battle strength as him and were injured in an instant. One of the Saint Emperors got close to a fire imp and the fire imp entered his body, incinerating him into ashes. Fire imps were one of the 10 most ferocious creatures in the world born from the fire source. Fire imps were said to be able to incinerate all formidable martial artists. As long as a fire imp entered a martial artist's body, that martial artist wouldn't be far from death. 15 minutes. Commander Lee and the group of formidable martial artists, including the formidable martial artists underground, all combined only managed to hold on for 15 minutes. 15 minutes later, more than half of the formidable martial artists were severely injured. 2 Saint Emperors had been incinerated into ashes. No one wanted to die. Although they really wanted to kill Shao Devil and didn't want to give up on this great opportunity, they didn't want to die. If they continued to stay here, most of the formidable martial artists would be trapped here forever. Shao Devil didn't turn around and kill them slowly, but he only had one life. Retreat! Commander Lee roared in anger. The experts present immediately felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders as they all flew up into the sky. Young Mistress Lee had no choice but to retreat. Her eyes widened as she stared at the sea of fire below and murmured, "Shao Devil, good move. I wonder if you can really escape with your life?" Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Masters Mobile Version. Chapter 3041. Commander Lee led all the formidable martial artists out of the fire world, but immediately formed an encirclement outside. The entrances and exits were all guarded by Saint Emperors. Commander Lee led 3 Saint Emperors to patrol the surroundings. As long as Xiao Mo dared to come out and was discovered, he would definitely die. At the same time, Xiao Mo asked all the scouts to patrol the surroundings to prevent Xiao Mo from taking advantage of the situation. Swish! Xiao Mo came out, but he was very low-key. He had been invisible the entire time. There were many fire imps nearby, but none of them could discover him. He was not in a hurry to go out. Instead, he wandered around the fire world for half a day. After making sure that there were no formidable martial artists in hiding, he heaved a sigh of relief. What a pity! He realized that the fire imps were also wandering around as if they were looking for a target. However, none of them flew up into the sky and none of them flew out of the fire world. Without the Fire Imp King's command, these fire imps had very low intelligence and would not chase him out of the fire world. If the fire imps didn't go out, the group of formidable martial artists would naturally be waiting outside. Hence, all the exits would probably be sealed. If he dared to go out, he would instantly be targeted and surrounded. Finally, he would die without a burial place. Some fire imps had already started to return to the Earth's core sea. Xiao Mo estimated that in at most one more day, all the fire imps would return underground. At that time, Commander Lee and the others would come in again. Perhaps even more formidable martial artists would be mobilized to search for him. He had become a fish trapped in a net. He couldn't get out and didn't dare to. However, if he didn't get out, he would be found sooner or later. I have to think of a way out. Xiao Mo's eyes twinkled. He concealed himself and flew up into the sky. He sensed a passageway carefully. Soon, his expression changed. He sensed a powerful aura outside. There were Saint Emperors guarding the passageway. He had no choice but to fly towards the other passageways. After flying for half a day, Xiao Mo found 7 passageways. However, they were all guarded by Saint Emperors. He couldn't get out. The fire world was huge, but there were very few passageways. Perhaps it was because of the high temperature all year round, there were very few passageways that led out. Every passageway was guarded by a Saint Emperor. No matter how strong his concealment art was, he couldn't possibly fly past a Saint Emperor without being detected. A Saint Emperor's senses were very perverse. If he didn't move, he could still avoid the Saint Emperor's senses. If he moved, there would be spatial fluctuations. Most of the fire imps below had already gone underground. Xiao Mo was getting anxious. He pondered for a while and decided to take a risk. He didn't go down. He stayed near the golden halo, near an entrance. He hid in midair and sensed the situation at the entrance. Time passed bit by bit. The experts outside didn't come in as quickly as Xiao Mo guessed. The passageway entrance was very quiet, and the fire world below was also very quiet. Artist 1. The Earth Sect Fire. During this half a month, not a single expert or scout from the outside had come in. The entrance had always been guarded by a Saint Emperor. On the 16th day, there was finally some movement in the passageway. A Saint Emperor had entered, and his divine will immediately swept out in all directions. Saints experts as they were, saints as Xiao Kudemo were Xiao. Anon. By Zhao's Xiao Mo's. The god Mo Saint Tianxiang, the time, the Mo Saint Xiao, he as, he did not to. Xiao. As. According to logic, no matter how a martial expert tried to conceal himself, his physical body was real. There was a difference between divine perception scanning in the air and scanning in an object. However, Xiao Mo's concealment art was just that perverse. The Saint Emperor's son was so strong that he couldn't detect anything. What's more, the Saint Emperor's senses were useless. It was as if he had evaporated from the world. This was a Saint Emperor from the Red Dragon race. He used his sun and flew down. There were many Saint Emperors flying down from the other passageways. They were all Saint Emperors. There were many more Saint Emperors than before. They should be the Saint Emperors from the big races. Xiao Mo had been staring at this Saint Emperor, memorizing the appearance of this Saint Emperor. After the Saint Emperor flew down, Xiao Mo flew towards the other passageways. He was also invisible when he flew and didn't have any aura. However, his appearance was changing rapidly. Halfway through the passageway, he actually turned into the appearance of a Saint Emperor from the Red Dragon race. His figure was also revealed. There were no more Saint Emperors outside the passageway. However, there were a few scouts standing guard. In the distance, there were a few winter metal warships roaming around. They were all Saint Emperors. If a scout sounded the alarm, they would immediately rush over. There are divine patterns? When Xiao Mo was about to come out of the passageway, he realized there were divine patterns set up at the entrance, sealing it. He revealed an arrogant expression. He forcefully broke the divine patterns and rushed out. There were 3 sixth tribulation experts outside. When they saw Xiao Mo, they were startled. One of the scouts asked curiously, "Lord Ao Gu, why did you come out again?" "I found that old devil. Hurry up and seal the entrance." Xiao Mo left a sentence and flew towards the warships like a sharp sword. It seemed like he was going to inform the experts over there. "You found him?" The 3 territorial lords were overjoyed. They immediately set up divine patterns to seal the entrance. What they didn't see was that after Xiao Mo flew for a short distance, he actually disappeared. Xiao Mo had been secretly checking on the 3 territorial lords. After he was sure that the 3 territorial lords weren't paying attention to him, he turned invisible. One of the territorial lords made some arrangements and casually looked in the direction that Xiao Mo flew to. He was slightly astonished when he realized that Xiao Mo had disappeared. However, he didn't pay too much attention because there was a warship far away. He thought that Xiao Mo had entered the warship. After waiting for 5 minutes, that warship streaked across the sky and flew over. The 3 territorial lords quickly stood up respectfully. They thought that all the experts on the warship were going to enter the fire world. However, the warship streaked across the sky and flew far away. It didn't stop near them. That territorial lord blinked his eyes in confusion. He then used his divine senses to scan the warship. However, he didn't see the experts from the Red Dragon race that Xiao Mo had transformed into. Something isn't right, that territorial lord frowned and thought for a moment. He informed the other 2 territorial lords and quickly chased after the warship. The warship was patrolling nearby. Therefore, its speed wasn't very fast. That territorial lord caught up to it. However, it took him another 5 minutes. "What's the matter?" A cold voice sounded. The warship stopped. The territorial lord stood in midair and bowed. Lords, it seems like Lord Aogu boarded your warship just now? I would like to ask, is Lord Aogu on the ship? What Aogu? Didn't he enter the fire world? That cold voice sounded and said in confusion, Aogu didn't come to our warship. Nobody came. Oh no! The territorial lord's expression changed drastically. He exclaimed, not good, it's Xiao Mo. It must be Xiao Mo who disguised himself as Lord Aogu. Xiao Mo escaped, what? Bastard! One by one, the experts flew out. An old man grabbed the territorial lord and asked him about the situation just now. He didn't miss any details. Idiot! After asking a few questions, the old man slapped the territorial lord away and quickly rushed into the fire world. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, countless experts swarmed out of the fire world. Young Lady Li also rushed out. Her beautiful eyes were filled with excitement. She said to the old man beside her, he can even escape like this? Xiao Mo is indeed Xiao Mo. However, he shouldn't have escaped far. We still have a chance to find him. P.S. I caught a cold. I stayed up for half a night and couldn't finish writing. I'll write it slowly in the next 2 days. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Masters Mobile Version. Chapter 3042. Many battleships whooshed on and sealed off an area with a radius of hundreds of millions of miles as fast as they could. Commander Li was furious. It was not easy to find Xiao Mo, but he was trapped in the world of fire. In order to capture Xiao Mo, Commander Li even hinted several major races to send more senior patriarchs over. They had just arrived, and they hadn't even begun to search for Xiao Mo when Xiao Mo had escaped. Commander Li felt humiliated. He had been slapped in the face by Xiao Mo in front of so many major races. Commander Li was not willing to accept this. If he couldn't capture Xiao Mo, he would be too ashamed to go back to the Hall of Law Enforcement. Therefore, he mobilized all the powerful warriors to seal off the nearby area. He would not stop until Xiao Mo was captured. He would not stop until he captured Xiao Mo, even if he had to search for hundreds or thousands of years. Impressive, impressive! Inside Xiao Mo's interspatial artifact, Lu Li exclaimed. He had been paying attention to Xiao Mo's every move, including when Xiao Mo lured the fiery imps underground and when he came out. Lu Li was trying to sense his surroundings. Xiao Mo didn't stop him because Lu Li knew what to do and didn't release any signals. Xiao Mo's sword intent was hanging in Lu Li's mind. Xiao Mo could kill Lu Li at any time. Xiao Mo believed that Lu Li was a smart man and wouldn't do something stupid. What was more, there were many powerful warriors of the Red Dragon race out there. So what if Lu Li told other powerful warriors to kill him? In the end, Lu Li would still fall into the hands of the Red Dragon race and be killed. What Lu Li admired the most about Xiao Mo was this moment. After Xiao Mo escaped from the world of fire, Lu Li had thought that he would run away as fast as he could. Little did he know that Xiao Mo was hiding on a piece of barren rock 30,000 miles away. Lu Li's palms were sweating as he watched the battleships fly by and the scouts fly by. Many psychic powers were scanning. The most dangerous place was the safest. After Xiao Mo hid, Lu Li understood his intention. Xiao Mo wanted to go back to the world of fire. All the powerful warriors thought that Xiao Mo would run away at once, but he went back to the world of fire. In this way, Commander Li and the others could not find him no matter how hard they searched. As they had expected, half an hour later, there were no more experts or scouts in the vicinity. Xiao Devil made his move and flew towards Planet Flame. The experts and scouts on Planet Flame had retreated in such a hurry that the Divine Rune seal at the entrance had not been reinstalled. Xiao Devil easily floated in, then chose to dive down from where the fire imp came from. After returning to the vicinity of the Earth's core sea, Xiao Mo set up a fire avoidance divine rune and began to cultivate in seclusion. Lu Li began to cultivate as well. He knew that he would be safe for the time being. For at least a couple of months, there would be no powerful warriors or scouts from the blazing world. This place was absolutely safe. Just as Lu Li had expected, Commander Li led a group of experts and scouts, divided into countless small teams, frantically searching in all directions. They didn't stop for even a moment, searching all over the world. Unfortunately, they couldn't even find the shadow of the Shao demon, not to mention finding any clues or traces. Half a year. After searching for half a year, dozens of Saint Emperors, more than 100 Thearchs, and more than 100,000 soldiers and scouts searched the area again and again. They had almost dug 3 feet into the ground, but they had not found anything. Commander Li's face was clouded recently. He was going crazy on the inside, but he had to suppress it on the surface. He was a powerful warrior of the wild race, and he was famous in the Infinite Star region. He was the leader of this operation. Powerful warriors of the other races were under his command. Therefore, to the outside world, he was the leader of this operation. He had mobilized so many powerful warriors and scouts, but he had found nothing. This operation had even attracted the attention of many major races. After all, the Shao demon's name was well known. This news would have spread across the entire Infinite region, and Commander Li would become a stepping stone for Shao Mo's fame. He would also become a laughing stock to countless people. All the wild race were proud, not to mention that Commander Li was a powerful warrior of the wild race. He could not accept such an ending. But what else could he do? Apart from leading a group of powerful warriors and scouts to search again and again, there was nothing else he could do. He was too ashamed to go back, too ashamed to beg Ancestor Fu. He was losing his mind, as if he was punching water. If the Shao demon fought him openly and defeated him, he would have nothing to say. He could even accept the humiliation. Time passed bit by bit. Commander Li had no intention of giving up. The other powerful warriors of the other races had also given up. They felt that they could not find the Shao demon. If this continued, it would only be a waste of time. It would only make them a bigger joke. Swish! Commander Li's battleship welcomed 3 guests. When Commander Li and company looked over, they were all slightly shocked. It was a beautiful lady and 2 Saint Emperors. They were all powerful warriors of the wild race. Lady Li. Commander Li was slightly stunned. Lady Li had been watching the show for a long time. She had always acted like a spectator. She had never greeted him or listened to his orders. Now, she was taking the initiative to come over? What was she trying to do? Regardless, Commander Li still went out to welcome them. It was not because of Lady Li, but because of the powerful warriors of Lady Li's bloodline. Lady Li's status was very respectable. Her bloodline was very strong. The strongest one was Ancestor Fu. There were more than 10 Saint Emperors in her bloodline. Lady Li had reached the Saint Emperor realm at such a young age. She was destined to become a peerless martial artist in the future. She was one of the strongest in the younger generation of the wild race. Commander Li was a few generations older than Lady Li. Although Lady Li's status was respectable, Commander Li did not greet her. He was already giving her a lot of face by coming out to welcome her. Lady Li was very sensible. She bowed and said, "Greetings, Grandfather Li, greetings, lords." Lady Li is too polite. The few Saint Emperors returned the greeting. Although Lady Li was a junior and had been wandering around the area, they naturally had to show her enough respect. However, since she was here, he naturally had to show her enough respect. Otherwise, it would not be a good thing if the news spread to Ancestor Fu. Commander Li welcomed Lady Li into the battleship and asked, "Little Lady Li, what can you teach me this time?" Lady Li did not come here for no reason. She must have something to tell him. Commander Li was not in a good mood. He could not be bothered with pleasantries. He went straight to the point. Miss Li smiled. Her appearance was stunning, she said. "How could I dare to teach Grandpa Li and the other lords? I was actually ordered to pass on a message. Ancestor Fu sent me a message through space. He wanted me to pass it on to Grandfather Li and Lords. Ancestor? Ancestor Fu? Commander Li was stunned. He quickly stood up and said respectfully, Ancestor Fu, what instructions does he have? Lady Li also stood up. She cupped her hands towards the flying immortal world and said, Ancestor Fu's original words, the most unexpected place is usually the most likely. If you can't take it down this time, go back. Don't stay outside and embarrass yourself. The last sentence made Commander Li and the rest blush. However, their eyes lit up. Ancestor Fu would not pass on a message for no reason. There must be a deeper meaning behind his words. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Masters Mobile Version. Chapter 3043. The most unexpected place was usually the most likely place. This sentence was very meaningful. Commander Li and the group of experts fell silent. After thinking for a while, they still could not figure it out. Where was the most unexpected place? They had thought of all the places in the vicinity and searched them. Was there any place that they had not searched? Was there any place that they had not thought of? Commander Li took out his map and checked the surrounding terrain carefully. However, he did not find any place that they had not searched before. Here. A beautiful hand stretched out and pointed to a spot on the map. From what I see, Ancestor Fu should be referring to this place. This place is a place that we had not thought of. Flame World. The group of experts glanced at each other and were astonished. Then, their eyes lit up. Commander Li slammed his hand on the table and shouted, The Shao Devil is definitely on the Flame Fire planet. We all forgot about this. We didn't even search for the Flame Fire planet after that. We didn't expect this. Someone go and gather all the experts. We are returning to the Flame Fire planet. Send the order for all the experts to gather at the Flame Fire planet. Swish. The battleship pierced through the sky. Young Mistress Li did not leave but followed the group. Young Mistress Li was the descendant of Ancestor Fu. She not only trusted Ancestor Fu but also had a kind of fanatical worship for him. Commander Li was the same. He had a kind of blind trust in Ancestor Fu. The beast shell that Ancestor Fu gave him was indeed useful and helped him find Xiao Mo. Unfortunately, Commander Li himself did not use it and allowed Xiao Mo to escape. After Commander Li passed the message, the group of experts thought that they had found Xiao Mo. They all rushed towards the Flame Fire planet as fast as they could. They were already quite a distance away from the Flame Fire planet. It took them several days to get close. Swish. Just as they got close to the Flame Fire planet, Commander Li saw a figure suddenly coming out from one of the passageways. Commander Li scanned with his divine senses and found that it was a Red Dragon Race's Thear-cranked expert. When the Red Dragon Race's Thear-cranked expert saw the battleship, he was also stunned. He thought for a moment and cupped his hands towards the battleship before flying away. Something is wrong. Young Mistress Li's eyes narrowed as she exclaimed, There is something wrong with that Red Dragon Race's Thear-cranked expert. Swish. Just as Miss Li finished her words, the Crimson Dragon Race's Monarch rank body suddenly disappeared into thin air. Commander Li and the others were shocked and shouted, Xiao Devil. Swish, swish, swish. The 6 Saint Emperors immediately made their move and rushed towards that direction. All of the Saint Emperors also made their move. Terrifying attacks were unleashed one after another, shattering the sky in that direction. They could no longer sense the Xiao Devil, they could only attack indiscriminately. Speaking of which, Xiao Devil was really unlucky. He cultivated for half a year and he felt that it was about time to leave the fire world. He was afraid that Commander Li and the others would return and attack, but he didn't expect to bump into Commander Li and the others as soon as he came out. He was too careless and did not conceal himself. He had checked the entrance of the tunnel and found that there were no scouts guarding outside, so he had only changed his appearance. In the void, the Shao Devil was forcefully jolted out. He spat out a mouthful of blood and there were a few injuries on his body. Just now, Commander Li and the others had released extremely powerful divine arts, causing the sky to shatter. He was injured by the power of space. Xiao. Behind him, Commander Li and the other 6 Saint Emperors rushed over, their divine senses locked onto him. The Shao Devil sighed to himself. He knew that if he didn't think of a way out, he would die for sure. He was already injured, and it would be hard for him to escape from Commander Li and the others. What's more, there were so many Saint Emperors nearby who would gather here soon. Oh no, Lu Li sensed the situation of the Shao Devil. He was worried as well. The Red Dragon race had sent out many powerful warriors this time. If he were to fall into the hands of the Red Dragon race, he would die as well. Once the Shao Devil died, he would not be able to run away either. Buzzing, the Shao Devil suddenly burst into black flames. Then, he transformed into a ray of black light and flew towards the northwest at a terrifying speed. Lu Li was dumbfounded and so was Commander Li and the others behind him. What? Lady Li and the others caught up as well. They saw the Shao Devil disappearing into the distance in a blur of black light. They felt that the Shao Devil had turned into space turbulence and disappeared in the blink of an eye. I think he is as fast as a great ancestor, Lady Li said to the Saint Emperor next to her. Then, she exclaimed, there is a reason why the Shao Devil can become the most powerful warrior in the underground world. How fast is he? This is a forbidden skill, the Saint Emperor said with a cold smile. There is a price to pay for using such a forbidden skill. What's more, he will be severely injured after using it. He is already injured. There is the smell of blood in the air. There is a good chance that we can track him down. Go after him. Commander Li and the others understood after a moment of pause. If the Shao Devil could always be that fast, why would he need to hide? He could just run away. Unless Fu Zhu and the others came out, who else could catch up with him? The Shao Devil must have used a forbidden skill which could not last long. He could only run away for a short distance. Just now, the Shao Devil was injured. After using the forbidden skill, it would be easier to track him down. It would be easy to leave some traces. The easiest way was to leave traces of blood. Commander Li was very sensitive to blood traces. He flew over and sensed for a while. Then, he led the others and flew away as fast as they could. If they flew at full speed, their speed would be much faster than the battleship. At the same time, Commander Li sent a message to the formidable martial artists from the various great races to intercept them. The air was filled with the faint smell of blood. It was too easy to track them. Commander Li's eyes lit up. This was such a good opportunity. If they still could not catch up to the Shao Devil, they would not be able to live in this world anymore. They might as well commit suicide. Many formidable martial artists were already gathering in this direction. After receiving Commander Li's message, they immediately turned and flew towards the Shao Devil's direction. They were prepared to intercept them. Commander Li's guess was right. The Shao Devil was indeed using a forbidden skill. After using the forbidden skill, the Shao Devil's essence chi was greatly injured. If it was during normal times, it would not matter. He would immediately find a place to recuperate after getting rid of his enemies. This time, he could not do it. There were Saint Emperors and countless scouts coming from all directions. Now that he was injured, it was hard to ensure that he would not be detected. He flew and plundered for an hour. He found a piece of trash and hid himself. After recuperating for a while, his eyes revealed a sliver of pain. He sighed and said, "It seems like I will not be able to escape this time." His previous injuries were already very serious, and forcibly releasing a forbidden technique while he was injured made his situation even worse. He had no confidence that he could escape from Commander Li's pursuit. Human punk. After the time for one incense stick to burn, the Shao Devil suddenly sent a message to Lu Li. "Do you want to live?" Luli was not delighted to hear this. As far as he could tell, the Shao devil wanted him to lure the enemies to his death. The Shao devil wanted Luli to distract the enemies and then leave. Luli thought about it and said, "Of course. Nobody wants to die." "Good." The Shao devil put on a bitter smile and said, "As long as you promise me one thing, not only will I spare your life, I will teach you everything I have learned in my life. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Leader's Mobile Version. Chapter 3044. What I Have Learned in My Life? Luli was stunned. Not only did Xiao Mo not send him to his death, he was going to teach him skills? Luli felt this was a gift from heaven. He couldn't believe it. "What? You don't want to do it?" Xiao Mo said coldly after a while. Luli said at once, "I do. Of course I do. But what do you want me to do?" "Wipe out a race." Xiao Mo said coldly, "I will plant a curse on you. If you cannot wipe out the race in 10,000 years, then you will have your soul destroyed." "Wipe out a race?" Luli was interested. He asked, "One of the 33 races?" "Of course," Xiao Mo said proudly. "If it were not the 33 races, why would they wait for you? I can wipe them out myself." Luli forced a smile and said, "Lord, I am only at the Emperor realm now. Do you think I can wipe out a race in 10,000 years?" "That is your business," Xiao Mo said coldly. "This time, the four-armed race wants to buy your life. If I gave you to them, you would not be able to survive. Now I have given you another 10,000 years to live. Are you still not satisfied? But my curse is vicious. The closer you are, the more tormented your soul will be. If you cannot complete the mission, your soul will be gnawed away bit by bit and you will die in the end." Luli frowned. He thought about it and asked, "Lord, I am curious. How can you be sure that I can wipe out that race? If I can complete the mission and you cannot be sure, or you cannot lift the curse for me in time, then I will still die." "My curse is intelligent." Xiao Mo didn't hide anything and transmitted his voice. "The blood curse that I set for you will have a spirit worm enter your soul. This spirit worm has a very high intelligence. If you can't complete the mission, it will eat your soul bit by bit. If you complete the mission, it will naturally not harm you." "Okay." Luli nodded and said in a deep voice, "Sir, I promise you that if I don't die in these 10,000 years, I will do my best to help you destroy this clan." "Well, you don't have to wipe them out completely," Xiao Mo said coldly. "We only need to kill all of their saint emperors. We don't need to kill the rest. Their clan has done all sorts of evil. As long as you can kill their saint emperor, their clan will be very, very miserable." "Sir, who is this clan?" Luli asked. "Dark Knight clan." Xiao Mo gritted his teeth and said, "Back then, my clan was completely annihilated by the Dark Knight clan. Only I managed to escape. All these years, this seat has been thinking of ways to take revenge. Unfortunately, this clan is too strong. This seat's combat power is not enough. And this time, I'm afraid I'm going to die here. This seat is unwilling." "Dark Knight clan?" Luli was taken aback. He had heard of this race before. When he was collecting information, he learned a little about this race. The Dark Knight clan used to be a great clan above the fourth heaven. They used to be a clan that was even more glorious and powerful than the Four-Armed Clan and the Crimson Dragon Clan. They occupied a huge boundary of the fourth heaven. Unfortunately, they declined. That being said, the Dark Knight clan was still a powerful clan with profound resources. Among the 33 clans of the universe, the Dark Knight clan ranked the third. For Luli and the third heaven, even the major clans of the universe were considered super clans, let alone the 33 clans. The abyss of demons almost wiped out the third heaven. Any of the major clans here could wipe out the third heaven. Now, Luli had to wipe out the Dark Knight clan? Luli felt it was more difficult than climbing to the sky. But he had no other choice. Dying 10,000 years later was better than dying now. You don't have much time. Xiao Mo's voice interrupted Lu Li's thoughts. Xiao Mo said, I will teach you my 3 holy secret skills. You must master them as soon as possible. Otherwise, you won't be able to survive, let alone avenge me. The Four-Armed Clan and the Crimson Dragon Clan are looking for you. The 3 skills that I have created are super powerful. You must study them carefully. Once you master them, average Saint Kings will not be able to kill you. Xiao Mo sent a voice transmission proudly. The first secret art is called the Divine Transformation Art. You should have seen it for yourself. This Great One can transform into the appearance of any race. Furthermore, this Great One can transform into the appearance of this race. Unless one's cultivation level is much higher than yours, no one will be able to see any difference. The second skill is called Divine Concealment. You have seen it as well. After you learn this skill, unless you are at a much higher realm than you will not be able to sense your presence. The third one is the forbidden skill that I have just released, Swift. By burning your life force, your speed will be increased by 100 times. Of course, this forbidden skill will only last for an hour. After that, you will be very weak. It will take you many years to recover. Divine Change, Divine Concealment, Swift. Lu Li was excited. The 3 powerful skills were the life-saving skills that Xiao Mo used to travel across the universe. He actually had the opportunity to practice these 3 super powerful divine art. He was really lucky. But on second thought, Lu Li understood. Xiao Mo had not taken his revenge yet. Because he had released Swift and he was wounded, he was not confident that he could escape. Therefore, he had to leave some backup plans. After all, if he could escape, he would come back and kill Lu Li. In that case, his skills would not be leaked. On the other hand, if he died, he would leave behind a bug and a blood curse. It was like leaving a hoop spell for Lu Li, forcing Lu Li to grow stronger and help him destroy the Dark Knight race. This reminded Lu Li of the Lord of Blood Evil. Back then, the Lord of Blood Evil was the same. Since Lu Li could not take revenge, he had to put his hope on Xiao Mo. So did Emperor Z. Lu Li thought to himself that if he could go back to the third layer, he should kill Emperor Zhu Tian and Emperor Yang at once so that Emperor Z and Lord of Blood Evil could rest in peace. Buzzing, Xiao Mo suddenly entered the interspatial artifact. 2 rays of strange light rose in his eyes. Between his eyebrows there was a small hole. A ray of cyan light shot out and disappeared between Lu Li's eyebrows. Lu Li sensed that there was more information in his soul. There was a bug in his soul as well. It was a cyan bug that hid in his soul silently. Buzzing, streaks of energy entered Lu Li's soul and formed a hexagonal pattern around the cyan bug. Then, the pattern merged with Lu Li's soul and disappeared. This is the blood curse I set up. Xiao Mo said, the blood curse cannot be cracked. Not even a warrior at the peak of the Saint Realm can do it. Once you try to crack it, your soul will explode. With the blood curse, you will not be able to kill my bug. So, don't even think about going back on your word. Okay now. With that said, Xiao Mo dashed out. The interspatial artifact glowed as Lu Li was teleported out. Xiao Mo waved his hand and said, there is a wasteland 300 miles to the southeast. Go there and cultivate. I will distract the powerful warriors nearby. Whether you can survive or not will depend on whether you can learn my 3 skills as soon as possible. Whoosh! Xiao Mo was a decisive person. He dashed to the northwest and left some words for Lu Li. Human kid, I have one last gift for you. The evil spirit in your soul is deep. The cyan arc bug will purify your soul and bring it back to its original state. Otherwise, you will have no hope of reaching the Saint Realm in your current state. Go ahead and cultivate. If you can help me with my revenge, I will be able to smile in the afterlife. P.S. I am still suffering from a cold. 4 chapters a day for tomorrow and the day after. Please remember the domain name of the book. Third Sect Leader's mobile reading website. Chapter 30-45. Xiao Mo was gone. The strand of sword intent in Lu Li's soul was gone as well. Until now, Lu Li still felt he was dreaming. He had thought that he was doomed. Unexpectedly, things took a turn for the better. Not only did he survive, but he also gained 3 powerful skills. Although there was a spirit insect in his soul that could kill him at any time, at least he wouldn't die for the time being, right? Phew, phew. Lu Li rubbed his face to clear his mind. He was safe for now, but that did not mean he was safe. The Red Dragon race had sent many powerful warriors. He did not know if the 4-armed race had sent powerful warriors. Once Xiao Mo died, and Lu Li could not be found, the Red Dragon race and the 4-armed race would start searching for him. Move! Lu Li used the trace of the Great Path, and flew toward the southeast quickly. 300,000 miles was too short. He found the deserted area at once. It was filled with poisonous fog, and there was no trace of Xian Qi in heaven and earth. Lu Li snuck in but did not take out the Holy Mountain. The Holy Mountain was his symbol, and it could be easily spotted by the scouts. Xiao Mo said that most of the powerful warriors would be lured away. For now, no Saint Emperors would come. Lu Li had 2 to 3 months of safety. Since Saint Emperors would be lured away, the average scouts would be easier to deal with. Lu Li told Blood Fairy to set up some runes to avoid the scouts' detection. There was no Asmodeans living in this deserted area. Soon, Blood Fairy set up a formation of illusion and then a formation of confusion. Blood Fairy had suffered some damage to her vitality, but after a period of recovery, she was much better. Lu Li didn't have time to think too much after this. He began to study the 3 super skills at once. He chose skill of disguise. The other 2 skills could be studied later. But this one was the most powerful one. It could change his appearance. As a matter of fact, art of concealment was good as well. But Lu Li decided to study skill of disguise first, which was more practical and more suitable for his escape. As a matter of fact, Lu Li didn't have to ask Blood Fairy to do that, because the Xiao Devil had helped him a lot. The Xiao Devil flew towards the northwest direction. Along the way, Xiao Mo killed a Saint Emperor. Xiao Mo was injured after using the divine concealment art. But his combat strength was still very strong. That Saint Emperor was just a weak Saint Emperor. He killed him in a few moves. There were still some soldiers and scouts nearby. Xiao Mo went on a killing spree, killing hundreds of martial artists in a single breath. After that, he used divine concealment technique again and flew towards the northwest direction. The news quickly spread. Commander Li was enraged and immediately mobilized all the experts to chase after them. At the same time, many scouts were mobilized there. Therefore, Lu Li had no scouts or powerful warriors on his side. The Xiao Devil knew that it would be very difficult for it to escape. Because it was injured, it would be very difficult for it to avoid being tracked. Of course, he didn't give up. Instead, he wanted to give it a try. If he could escape, that would naturally be a good thing. Lu Li was just one of the backup plans he had. If he could escape, he would find Lu Li and kill him. Countless experts chased after him. Xiao Mo revealed his strength as the #1 expert of the underground world. Although there were countless experts chasing after him from all directions, he kept breaking out of the encirclement. Many soldiers and experts who encountered him were instantly killed. Blood dyed the sky. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers and powerful warriors weaved into a huge net. Like a trapped beast, Xiao Mo dashed to the left and right, tearing apart layers of encirclement and breaking out again and again. On many occasions, 3 or 4 Saint Emperors had caught up with Xiao Mo but still failed to capture him. Instead, 1 or 2 Saint Emperors were injured by Xiao Mo's abilities shocked all the powerful warriors. He had used forbidden skill twice, and he had consumed a lot of energy. How could he still be so strong? That being said, Commander Li and the others knew that Xiao Mo was an arrow at the end of its flight. It couldn't last much longer. As long as Xiao Mo could be killed, then everything would be fine and Commander Li's name would be known throughout the region of Infinite Star. 2 months. A group of powerful warriors chased after Xiao Mo for 2 months. On many occasions, it seemed that Xiao Mo was about to be captured, but Xiao Mo always managed to break out of the encirclement. 3 Saint Emperors, 30 Emperor Realm warriors and more than 10,000 warriors. In just 2 months, 3 Saint Emperors were killed by Xiao Mo, and more than a dozen Saint Emperors were injured by it. Xiao Mo's strength shocked all the experts and soldiers. If it wasn't for the fact that Xiao Mo's injuries were getting more and more serious, Commander Li would have to ask the law enforcement team to send out more powerful elders. Xiao Mo was like a dying dragon. Although it looked like it was on the verge of death, its counterattack could tear off a piece of flesh at any time. It was because of Xiao Mo's viciousness that he was still alive. Many Saint Emperors didn't dare to risk their lives against him, which gave Xiao Mo a chance to escape. Of course, everything was going to end soon. Xiao Mo used the Mi-Swift art for the 3rd time. Although he managed to escape, his injuries were too severe. Even if he managed to escape, it would take him tens of thousands of years to fully recover. Most importantly, a powerful warrior from a large clan had planted a kind of parasite in his body. The parasite was constantly devouring his life energy and could easily track his movements. Commander Li and the others followed Xiao Mo from afar. They didn't rush to chase after him. They were afraid that Xiao Mo would perish together with a Saint Emperor before he died. If it was in the past, Commander Li might be able to neutralize the parasite in Xiao Mo's body. Now that he was too weak, there was no way to neutralize it. He could only watch as his life energy was devoured bit by bit. He also felt that his life was coming to an end. However, he was still flying. He wanted to escape into a domain. That domain was extremely dangerous. If he didn't reach the Martial Saint Perfection stage, he would only have a slim chance of survival. He wanted to fight for his last hope. After flying for half a month, he arrived near that domain. However, when he saw the densely packed army and formidable warriors in front of him, he gave up. Commander Li and the others had already guessed that Xiao Mo's ultimate goal was this domain. How could they let Xiao Mo escape? Xiao Mo didn't run anymore. He stood in midair as the muscles on his face slowly changed. Finally, he turned into a handsome man. Young Mistress Li stood at the side. When she saw Xiao Mo's appearance, she exclaimed, "Xiao Mo is actually from the Spirit King race. Didn't the Spirit King race perish a long time ago? The Spirit King race is not extinct yet. However, after today, it will be completely extinct." Xiao Mo smiled bitterly. He then arrogantly scanned the crowd and said, "Everyone who wants to send me on my last journey? If you don't dare to go alone, you can all come together." Xiao Mo's disdain was very obvious. One of the Saint Emperors couldn't take it anymore. Xiao Mo was so seriously injured, and yet he was still so arrogant? This Saint Emperor and Xiao Mo battled in midair. The battle only lasted for 5 minutes before that Saint Emperor retreated. He had been severely injured by Xiao Mo. If he didn't retreat quickly, he would have died on the spot. "Xiao Mo Kuang, I will fight you!" A formidable martial artist from the Red Dragon race went up. The result was the same. Xiao Mo looked like he was on the verge of death. However, he still managed to severely injure the Red Dragon race's Saint Emperor. The third, the fourth, 4 Saint Emperors went up consecutively. They were all injured by Xiao Mo. When the 5th Saint Emperor went up, Xiao Mo finally couldn't take it anymore. However, he didn't choose to die in the hands of his enemies. Instead, he smashed his own head. Boom! Xiao Mo's soul spirit was shattered. Before he died, he sighed and said, Human race lad, don't disappoint me. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Masters Mobile Version. Chapter 3046. Luli let Xiao Mo down. During the past 2 months, he didn't learn the skill of transfiguration. Xiao Mo thought too highly of Luli. The skill was too complicated. How could Luli learn the skill of transfiguration so easily? Even though he didn't fully understand it, Luli had scratched the surface and could change his appearance. Luli had learned some disguise skills before, but they were nothing compared to this skill of transfiguration. They were not on the same level. Luli was ready to go. He was going back to the realm of flying, which was safe enough. He had celestial stones now. As long as he could go back to the realm of flying, he could buy a house in any city and settle down. But this place was a bit far away from the realm of flying. Xiao Mo had flown for such a long time. If Luli wanted to fly back, it would take him at least a year unless he took the holy mountain and flew as fast as he could. But if he did that, powerful warriors of the Red Dragon race and the Four-Armed race would catch up with him. I have to get out of here first. Luli's facial muscles changed. He grew taller and stronger. He looked like a Red Dragon race warrior. His realm remained the same. He was still at the Emperor realm. He couldn't change that yet. He used the trace of Tao to fly to the southeast. There must be fewer scouts here. Xiao Mo had lured all the powerful warriors and scouts to the northwest. Although they had to take a long detour from the southeast direction, it was still safer. With the help of the trace of Tao, Luli's senses were extraordinary. He would take a detour at the slightest sign of trouble. Xiao Mo had been a great help to him. There were no scouts or powerful warriors here. Every now and then, he would see a battleship flying by. Luli flew for a month in peace. He didn't run into any pursuers. He was a bit relieved. He had been far away from the world of fire for a month. It would be difficult to find him. Luli didn't dare to linger. He took a detour to the realm of flying. This time, there were almost no scouts. It was a smooth journey. There was a reason why Luli's journey was smooth. The Four-Armed race and the Red Dragon race had begun to search for him, but they were still in an area near the world of fire. Xiao Mo was dead. His interspatial ring and interspatial artifact were taken by Commander Li. There was neither Luli nor the Holy Mountain in his interspatial ring. If the Xiao demon killed Luli, then the Sacred Mountain would still be there, right? The powerful warrior of the Red Dragon race told Commander Li that he wanted nothing but Luli and the mountain. However, after searching through the interspatial artifacts and interspatial rings, they found no trace of the Holy Mountain. Therefore, the powerful warriors of the Red Dragon race were certain that Luli was still alive. Previously, Aou and the others had been tracking Luli along the way. They didn't notice that Xiao Mo had let Luli go. If Xiao Mo wanted to release Luli, then it would be after they reached the Fire World. Therefore, they had to search around the Fire World. Powerful warriors and scouts of other major races had left. The world of fire was a vast place. How difficult it would be to find Luli. The news about the Xiao demon spread across the entire infinite region, causing a huge commotion. The strongest underground expert, Xiao Mo, was killed? He was from the Spirit King clan, which had been extinct for a long time. This clan used to be very powerful, but it was later destroyed by the Dark Knight clan. Although the Xiao Devil was dead, the Spirit King clan didn't have any survivors? The Dark Knight clan took action. They began to gather information to see if the Spirit King clan was still alive. The most powerful underground expert, the nightmare of many races, was finally dead. The other races that hated Xiao Mo were relieved. The Dark Knight clan was enraged. Previously, some saint emperors and young masters and young ladies were assassinated. They never found the real culprit, but now they finally found the culprit. After the death of the Xiao Devil, the grand operation finally came to an end. Although the Shao devil was killed, his name became even more famous. He was hunted down by a group of powerful warriors, and he managed to kill several saint emperors. It was said that he was found because of the ancestor of the wild race. The Red Dragon race and the Four-Armed race paid no more attention to this matter. They began to search for Luli. After 2 months of fruitless search, Ao Ding of the Red Dragon race was enraged. He went to the Heaven Hound race in person. The Heaven Hound race was recognized as the best at tracking in the infinite region. Asking the Heaven Hound race to go was costly. If it was just to repay the favor owed to Ancestor Demon Abyss, it would not be worthwhile. It was no longer about the favor. It was about the reputation of the Red Dragon race and Ao Ding's face. 4 powerful warriors, face was more important than anything else. Since he had promised Ancestor Yuan and Ancestor Tian, he would do it at all costs. Ao Ding was influential. The Heaven Hound race agreed, and the price was not too high. One of the patriarchs of the Heaven Hound race received a favor from Ao Ding. Ao Ding didn't give any treasures or celestial stones. The favor he received was more valuable than any other treasure. Ao Ding was trying to repay a favor. Now, he owed another one, which made him feel depressed. What was more, the Heaven Hound race was one of the 33 races. The patriarchs of the Heaven Hound race didn't take action. They just sent out thousands of scouts. The Heaven Hound race had a special skill. Their noses were very sensitive. As long as they could track Luli's energy, they could follow it and locate Luli easily. The problem was, the scouts of the Heaven Hound race had never seen Luli, so they didn't know what he was like. In this case, it would be difficult for the Heaven Hound race to find Luli. But the patriarchs of the Heaven Hound race were not worried. The tracking skills of the Heaven Hound race were unparalleled. Back in the days, the patriarchs of the Heaven Hound race were famous even at the 4th heaven. He believed that they could find a human warrior. The human race was a very good place to search for them. There were many humans in the infinite region, but most of them lived in their own universes and wouldn't go out. Those that could go out were the higher-ups of the Dai family. Therefore, as long as they could find a human that was not from the Dai family, it would be Luli without a doubt. The thousands of Heaven Hound race dispersed. The powerful warriors and scouts of the Red Dragon race were cheered up. With the Heaven Hound race searching, the pressure on them would be reduced. As long as the Heaven Hound race could find Luli, then everything else would be fine. The Heaven Hound race lived up to expectations. In half a month, they found the deserted world where Luli was hiding. A quasi-emperor from the Tiango race was very certain that a human had been hiding here for more than 2 months. This place was near the world of fire. During that time, there were only powerful warriors and scouts of different races here. No human dared to come close. Therefore, the identity of this human was obvious. The Heavenly Hound Quasi-Emperor had located Luli's energy as well. He had been following the route Luli took when he ran away. Admittedly, the Heaven Hound race was amazing. It had been several months since Luli left, and this powerful warrior of the Heaven Hound race could still sense Luli's energy in the air. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Sect Leaders Mobile Version. Chapter 3047. Luli had been on the run for half a year. He was not far away from the realm of Ascension. In another half a year, he would enter the realm of Ascension. At the moment, he was in the vicinity of a huge star field. This star field was very famous, and it was called the Yin-Yang Star. This was the only one apart from the realm of Ascension where all the races lived together. It was also the most chaotic one in the entire infinite region. This was the second largest one in the infinite region. There were many treasured lands and relics here. It was second only to the realm of Ascension. According to common sense, such a good interface should have been occupied by the big clans and definitely not given to those small clans. As a matter of fact, this was the case in the beginning. Many major races were fighting for this place. Many wars broke out over this place, and one of the major races was wiped out. It was because this place was so good that the major races wanted to fight for it. Nobody was willing to yield. Therefore, millions of years ago, the masters of this place had been changing. Because of this, the infinite region was filled with endless wars. Then, the desolate race intervened. After some discussion with the major races, they decided to give up this place. No major races could occupy this place, not even cities. Powerful warriors of the major races were not allowed to enter. There were too many races in the infinite region and too many people. Most of the land and resources were occupied by the 33 races. The remaining population and races were not happy. There were too many conflicts that would erupt one day. Therefore, they needed a place to vent. The yin and yang star was a place for them to vent. Let the various races fight for territory, fight, and vent their anger inside. This would not only give the races hope, but also weaken them. The 33 races had made it clear that they would not enter the yin and yang star. Any race that could conquer the yin and yang star would be recognized by the 33 races. This gave hope to the smaller races. For this slim hope, generation after generation, they would fight and kill in the yin and yang star. As long as there was a fight, people would die. When the average warriors died, the powerful warriors would not sit still. At this rate, the smaller races would be trapped in a vicious cycle. For this slim hope, they would continue to consume their vitality. In this way, the 33 races would not be able to shake their ruling position in the infinite region. Luli was near the yin and yang star. He wanted to go in and have a look and find a place to rest. But in the end, he still endured it. Although this was a good place to hide, it was not an absolutely safe place. Only the flying immortal world was absolutely safe. Who knew when the experts from the Scarlet Dragon race and the Four-Armed race would arrive? Who knew what kind of powerful tracking abilities these large clans had? He had yet to successfully cultivate his 3 super-powerful secret techniques. He rested in a nearby wasteland for a while before continuing his flight. As he flew, he tried to comprehend the divine transformation technique. With his current abilities, it was very easy for him to multitask. His progress in the divine transfiguration art was very fast. He had already broken through the first stage. There were 3 stages to the divine transfiguration art. The first was to change one's appearance, the second was to change one's mind, and the third was to change one's body and soul. The form was the fleshly body, and the spirit was the temperament, realm, and aura. A change in both form and spirit meant that one had become a completely different person. The Shao Devil had completely transformed into another person. Commander Li and the others had met the Shao Devil once outside the Fire World. At first, they didn't discover any problems with the Shao Devil. From this, one could see how powerful the God transformation technique was. 5 days later, Luli stopped. There were some people in front of him. Clearly, they were trying to stop him. Luli was a bit nervous. He no longer looked like a scarlet dragon, but a member of a minor race. He looked like a prawn standing on its feet. The 3 warriors in front of him were not from the Scarlet Dragon race or the Four-Armed race. They were from a strange race. They seemed to be 3 dogs in the shape of humans? The Heavenly Hound race. Luli frowned. He remembered the Heavenly Hound race, one of the 33 major races. His mind was weighed down. The Heavenly Hound race was famous for their tracking skills. Why would the Heavenly Hound race stop him for no reason? Clearly, they were not here with good intentions. Luli checked the surroundings to see if there were other powerful warriors around. After a while, he was relieved to make sure that there were no powerful warriors around. It seemed that the 3 powerful warriors of the Heavenly Hound race were not sure of his identity. Luli flew forward slowly. 300 miles away from the powerful warriors of the Heavenly Hound race, Luli stopped. He cupped his fists and took a detour. Stop! One of the Heavenly Hound quasi-emperors shouted. The 3 Heavenly Hounds were all quasi-emperors, but they were one of the 33 races. Deep in their bones they had a sense of superiority. Luli was in the form of a minor race. Therefore, even though he was at the semi-emperor realm, they didn't mind. Luli didn't dare to act rashly. He walked over with a smile, bowed and said, "Lord Heavenly Hound, what can I do for you? You are from the shrimp race?" The quasi-emperor asked coldly, "Is Lord Een of your race at the Yin and Yang universe recently?" Lord Een? Luli was surprised, but he didn't show it. How would he know about Lord Een? Luli made up his mind and said, "My lords, Lord Een is indeed at the Yin and Yang universe recently." "Do you have business with him? Do you need me to show you the way?" "Nonsense," the quasi-emperor said with killing intent. "Lord Een, we met at the Fooling universe half a month ago. You are not from the shrimp race. You are a human." Buzzing. The 3 powerful Heavenly Hound warriors took out a token and were about to crush it. Luli came to his senses at once. He released a powerful soul attack. The 3 quasi-emperor realm semi-emperors rolled around with their heads in their hand. Boom. Even though Luli used his soul attack at once, one of the Heavenly Hound's tokens still cracked. Luli was enraged. He took out his divine chains of order and smashed them. Boom, boom, boom. The heads of the 3 Heavenly Hound quasi-emperor realm semi-emperors were crushed. Luli dashed over and burned their bodies and blood away with his flames. This is troublesome. Even though he had killed the 3 Heavenly Hound warriors, Luli was still worried. He knew that as soon as the 3 Heavenly Hound warriors died, he would be exposed. He would have another enemy, the Heavenly Hound of the 33 races. "Go to the celestial universe as fast as I can?" Luli's eyes flickered. If he flew at the top of his speed on the holy mountain, he could arrive at the celestial universe in a month at most. But would the Heavenly Hound, the Red Dragon, and the 4-armed race allow him to enter the celestial universe safely? That was not possible. If the 3 races were so useless, they wouldn't have become one of the 33 races. "Let's go." Luli took out the holy mountain with determination and flew away. But he was not going to the celestial universe. Instead, he turned around and flew toward the Yin and Yang universe. Since he could not go to the celestial universe, there was only one option left for him: to find a place to hide. He must master the 3 super-secret skills as soon as possible. As long as he could do that, he would have a chance to escape. Otherwise, he was doomed. The Yin and Yang universe was a complicated place with many treasures and dangerous places. It was the best place for him to hide. He had to find a place to cultivate in the Yin and Yang universe. Going anywhere else would only lead to death. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Sect Leaders Mobile Version. Chapter 3048. Found him. In the void, on a huge golden warship, an elder of the Tiango race had a proud look on his face. There were 4 Saint Emperors of the Crimson Dragon race sitting beside him. One of them was a muscular and imposing elder. He immediately smiled and said, "The Tiango race truly lives up to their name. Elder Goen, I'm convinced this time. You actually found it in such a short amount of time? Where is he?" Goen took out a map and said, "Near the Langyu world, not far from the Yin and Yang world. 3 of our elites were killed by him, but they sent a signal before they died. Oyu, not only did our race expend a great deal of manpower and resources, we even lost our race leader's elite." The Red Dragon race's elder, Oyu, was taken aback and asked, "That kid just broke through to the Emperor realm, right? Your race's speed is insane, yet he killed 3 of our elites?" Elder Goen, you don't have to worry about this. After we capture this human kid, our race will naturally compensate you. There's no need for that. Goen shook his head and said, "Since Lord Ao Ding owes our race a favor, we naturally have to do it well. The death of some of our people is a trivial matter. Let's go, let's hurry back. Don't let him escape? Escape? Oyu was taken aback again and asked, Didn't your race find him? You have elite warriors on your side, right? Since they found him? How can you let him escape? This kid has some tricks up his sleeve. Goen snorted and said, He must have learned a thing or two from the Shaomo. His aura has disappeared. Our warriors have not been able to track his exact location, but they can sense that he has gone to the Yin and Yang world. Yin and Yang world? Oyu frowned. According to the agreement, the 33 races could not go there. Of course, they could sneak in, but there would be trouble if they were discovered. Besides, the Yin and Yang world's terrain was complicated. If Luli escaped into a strange terrain, it would be much more difficult to find him. Once this dragged on, the matter would blow up. The desolate race might intervene. After all, the 33 races had agreed that they could not go in. Can't we stop him outside? Aoyu asked. The Crimson Dragon race didn't have any clansmen there, but the Tiango race should have some clansmen there. They could try to stop them. I've already sent a message. Try your best to intercept them. Goen waved his hand and said, Relying on them might not be of any use. Let's hurry over. All right. Aoyu waved his hand, and a red dragon elder immediately controlled the warship and began to shuttle through the void, quickly shuttling in that direction. There were only a dozen heavenly hounds at the Yin and Yang universe. As soon as they received the order, they set up defenses outside the Yin and Yang universe, ready to intercept Luli. The Heaven Hound race had a strong sense. They could vaguely tell where Luli was. Luli had not mastered the skill of transfiguration yet. He could not get rid of the tracking ability of the Heaven Hound yet. It's getting closer. The 10-odd Tiango clansmen were all at the 6th tribulation. 8 of them were subthearchs, while the rest were basically at the late-stage 6th tribulation. Even though Luli was at the Emperor realm and he had killed 3 subthearchs, they were not afraid. The 33 races were the rulers of the region of infinite universe. Once they were a race above the 4th heaven. They were born with a sense of superiority. They believed that warriors of other minor races were trash and not on the same level as them. Whoosh! After the time for one incense stick to burn, they heard a noise. The powerful warriors of the Heaven Hound race cheered up. They could tell that the human they were looking for was up ahead. There was a trace of their blood on this human. Set up the formation. One of the sub-emperors roared. More than 10 Tiango race beings shot out streams of energy that interweaved in the void. Following that, a gigantic net was formed in midair, sealing off the entire area around them. What? Luli's speed at the sacred mountain was fast. By the time he sensed it, the space where the sacred mountain was had been sealed off. Luli used psychic power to check and found more than a dozen heavenly hounds standing in strange positions, surrounding him. Luli was filled with killing intent when he saw that they were all at the 6th tribulation and only some subthearchs. The Tiango clan was looking down on him a little too much, wasn't it? Sending these small fries to take him down? Did they think his overlord rank was fake? Xiao. Luli smashed the sacred mountain at a quasi-emperor. The sacred mountain was so fast that the quasi-emperor could not dodge in time. The mountain smashed into him. Luli dashed away and then released soul attacks. Chains of order swept across. Boom. The emperor-to-be was killed by Luli in an instant. He didn't even have the chance to attack. Luli was not an average warrior of the great emperor realm. His soul attacks could defeat many of them, not to mention that there were only 6 calamities here and the most powerful ones were merely quasi-emperors. The other Heaven Hound warriors were taken aback. They could tell that Luli was powerful or else he wouldn't have killed 3 quasi-emperors. But they didn't expect Luli to be so powerful. According to the information given by the Red Dragon race, Luli had just reached the Emperor realm. Boom boom boom. Powerful warriors of the Heavenly Hound race reacted quickly. They all charged at Luli. However, Luli dashed into the sacred mountain, and all the attacks landed on the mountain. This mountain, all the heavenly hound warriors were dumbfounded. When their attacks landed on the mountain didn't even tremble, let alone crack it open. Whoosh! The sacred mountain moved and smashed into a quasi-emperor, knocking them away. Then, Luli dashed out and the quasi-emperor was killed again. At the same time, Luli used Skill of Wind to attack all the heavenly hound warriors. Skill of Wind was not strong, but it was not something that the heavenly hound race could stand. In the time for a dozen breaths, all the heavenly hound warriors were dead. This time, Luli didn't even bother to burn the bodies. Since the heavenly hound race could stop him here, it meant that the heavenly hound race could find him and they were here to track him down. In that case, burning the bodies would be pointless. After collecting all the interspatial rings of the heavenly hound race, Luli flew on the sacred mountain. He must enter the yin and yang universe as soon as possible and find a safe place to cultivate. Even though the 33 races of the yin and yang universe could not go in, Luli believed that powerful warriors of the Red Dragon race and the Heavenly Hound race would sneak in. The Heavenly Hound race seemed to be able to track him down. Therefore, the only way for him to survive was to find a safe place to cultivate for a while and master the art of transfiguration and art of concealment as soon as possible. That was the only way for him to survive. The interception failed. An hour later, Goen received the news. He explained, "All the warriors we sent to intercept him have died in battle. That human brat is about to enter the yin-yang realm." Aoyu was stunned. He said with killing intent, "We must find him and cut him into pieces even if he has to enter the yin and yang universe. I will go and mobilize armies and powerful warriors to enter the yin and yang universe." "What are you going to do with so many armies and powerful warriors?" Goen rolled his eyes and said, "Are you trying to tell all the races in the desolate region that we have entered the yin and yang universe? He is just an Emperor Realm warrior. 5 of us are not enough for him. Don't let anyone else go. Just the 5 of us will be enough. He killed so many of our children. We will make him wish he was dead." P.S. That's the 4th chapter. Please remember the domain name of this book. 3rd Sect Leaders Mobile Version. Chapter 3049. The Yin and Yang Universe, Water Willow City. This was a famous city in the Yin and Yang universe. It was not a large city, but there was a water willow lake nearby. Water willows grew by the lakeside. In the lake, a powerful warrior was buried. Once upon a time, something big happened in the tomb of this warrior. 2 young masters from major families fought over a young lady. Eventually, the 2 young masters survived, but the young lady was accidentally wounded and died. This incident became a joke in the Yin and Yang universe. Water Willow City became famous because of this. The current Water Willow City was under the control of 3 major races, 3 minor races. The Yin and Yang world had been fighting for so many years, but none of the major clans had been able to truly occupy it, let alone those minor clans. They could only form alliances to occupy some territories. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for their clans to occupy even a single city. As a matter of fact, many minor races had seen through the sinister intentions of the 33 races. The Yin and Yang universe was a poison, a fat piece of meat that would consume their vitality. Many races knew the poison, but they were reluctant to let it go. There were so many resources in the Yin and Yang universe. Occupying a piece of land here was better than occupying an entire universe. By occupying a piece of land, a race could obtain more resources, develop better and nurture future generations. Without resources, a race would grow weaker. It would be difficult for them to survive, let alone develop. Sooner or later, they would be wiped out. In recent years, the Yin and Yang universe was less chaotic. Most of the territories had been divided and the situation had stabilized. 5 factions had been formed. Many minor races had formed an alliance to advance and retreat together. Attacking a city would result in being attacked by many other minor races. Pulling one hair in one place could affect the whole. In this way, there would be fewer chances of a war. Where should I go? In a tavern in the Water Willow City, Luli had been sitting here for half a day. He had gathered a lot of information. He basically knew everything about the yin and yang universe, but he couldn't find a suitable place. Luli was sure that the powerful warriors of the Heaven Hound race would come soon. Powerful warriors of the Red Dragon race or the Four-Armed race would be here as well. The only way for him to get rid of the pursuit of the 3 races was to find a place of absolute safety to cultivate the skill of transfiguration and stealth. As long as Luli could master the 2 skills, the possibility of him escaping would be greatly increased. That being said, the 2 skills would take time. Luli estimated that it would take at least several years. Therefore, he had to find an absolutely safe place to cultivate for a few years. The question is, where is safe? What kind of place could stop a group of Saint Emperors for a few years? There were many dangerous places in the yin and yang world, and it was said that even Saint Emperors would die if they entered some places. But the problem was that Saint Emperors would definitely die in there. Could Luli survive in there? Luli only wanted a place to cultivate for a few years, but it didn't mean that he wanted to court death. Yangon City, Skeleton Mountain, Paradise Valley. Luli flipped through the map and finally decided on these 3 locations. Yongan City was the largest city in the Yin-Yang realm, and it was jointly owned by the 3 great clans. The 33 races had an agreement that no one could enter the Yin and Yang world. Therefore, if Luli entered the city, the powerful warriors of the Heavenly Hound race, Red Dragon race and the Four-Armed race might have some scruples. They might not dare to enter the Yangon city, let alone capture or kill him in the city. But what if the powerful warriors of the Red Dragon race, Heavenly Hound race and the Four-Armed race secretly contacted the powerful warriors of the 3 races and reached an agreement to capture Luli? After all, the 33 races were the rulers of this region. How would the average races dare to offend them? According to the agreement, the 33 races could not enter the Yin and Yang world. But even if they were to start a killing spree, what else could the other races say except for the wild race? Skeleton Mountain was a dangerous place. Many people died here, and the mountain was covered with skeletons, hence the name. So far, no powerful warrior had entered the depths of the mountain. Of course, there might have been warriors at the Saint Realm who had reached the peak, but not many people knew about it. Paradise Valley was also a land of death, and it was a naturally formed land of death. It was said that many Saint Kings would immediately retreat after entering, and their vitality would be greatly injured. It was known as a place where anyone below the Saint King realm would definitely die. The 3 places were chosen by Luli. It was not that he wanted to go, but only these 3 places could stop the powerful warriors of the Heavenly Hound race, the Red Dragon race, and the Four-Armed race. I cannot go to the Eternal Peace City. Luli thought about it and decided not to go to the Eternal Peace City. There was a high chance that he would be betrayed. It was better to control his own fate. He would be willing to die. Let's go to the Skeleton Mountain. Luli's eyes glowed as he made up his mind. The Paradise Valley was a strange place. Even though the Skeleton Mountain was dangerous, the periphery was not. The deeper he went, the more dangerous it would be. In this way, Luli wouldn't be stuck in the gates of hell. The Skeleton Mountain was far away. Luli didn't think too much after he made up his mind. He took the teleportation portal in the city at once. Even though there were frequent battles here, the buildings in the city were almost intact. When the 2 sides fought, they would be outside the city. In this way, whichever side won could take over the city directly. Luli had enough celestial stones along the way. In 5 days, he arrived near the Skeleton Mountain. He arrived at a small city near the Skeleton Mountain. He didn't go there in a hurry. Instead, he found a waiter in a tavern. He threw out a handful of celestial stones. There were more than 1,000 of them. The waiter's eyes glowed. But the waiter was smart. He didn't rush to grab the celestial stones. Instead, he said to Luli with a smile, "Lord, tell me what you need. I will not hesitate to climb a mountain of swords or dive into a sea of flames." "I don't need you to climb a mountain of swords or dive into a sea of flames," Luli said with a smile. "I just want you to do something for me. If you can do it well, I will give you 5,000 celestial stones. If you can't, I will come after you, unless you don't want to stay in the yin and yang universe anymore." The waiter was shocked. 5,000 celestial stones was not a small number. It could buy many treasures and resources. The waiter didn't say yes right away. Instead, he put on a serious expression and asked, "Lord, please tell me. If I can do it, I will not say no. If I can't, I don't have the courage to take the celestial stones." "You can do it. It is very easy," Luli said with a smile. "In a while, some important warriors of the 33 races will attack the mountain of Skeleton. I don't need you to do anything. I just want them to go to the mountain of Skeleton. When I crush the Jade Talisman, you can spread the news. That will be all. How about it? It is not a big deal, right?" The 33 races, Little Fool's face turned pale right now. The 33 races were extremely important people to him. If the 33 races were to find out about this, he would definitely be dead for sure. "What are you afraid of?" Seeing that the waiter had stopped talking, Luli tried to persuade him. "The 33 races are not allowed to come in. Even if they can, not many will come in. What is more, it is hard to hide the news. You just need to spread the news. Fortune comes from danger. You will not get another chance like this. If you don't want to do it, I can find someone else to do it." The waiter thought for a while and analyzed the pros and cons. After a while, he made up his mind and said, "I will do it." "Good." Luli grinned. As long as the news was spread, he could have some time. As long as the powerful warriors of the 33 races did not dare to hunt him down openly, he would be safer at the Mountain of Bones. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Sect Leader's Mobile Version. Chapter 3050. Mount Skeleton was famous on the Yang and Yang star. 3 Saint Emperors once chose this place as their burial ground. It was said that this place had good feng shui. This was not a mountain, but a mountain range. Looking down from the sky, the mountain range would look like a dragon surrounded by a group of beasts. Pilgrimage of Beast. This was the topography of this mountain range. For many powerful warriors of the Yang and Yang star, this was a place of great danger and the most suitable place to be buried. Pilgrimage of Beast. If one's tomb was placed in the center of the mountain range, there would be beasts to protect the tomb and no one would disturb it. Experts had always been very particular. Even if they died, they would not easily bury themselves in an ordinary place. When they were alive, they enjoyed a luxurious life. Naturally, they would choose the best place to be buried. Especially those without families, they knew that no matter where they were buried, they would be discovered as time went by and the treasures they left behind would be found. Treasures and resources could not be brought with them in life or with them after death. They should leave them to their descendants. They also hoped that their descendants could pass on some divine skills that they had created. Therefore, before the end of their lives, these warriors would choose some good places and build them at a great cost. First, they would not let others disturb their sleep. Second, they would put all the treasures and resources they had acquired and their skills they had created in their lives as gifts to the destined ones. Of course, it was not so easy to get their treasures and skills. They had to be approved by them, which meant they had to pass their tests. If they wanted to prevent ordinary martial artists from disturbing their sleep, then they had to have very powerful arrangements. If they wanted to test their successors, they also had to have arrangements. They would spend many years and a great price to do so. Many average saint emperors would sigh at the sight of such arrangements. They would also choose some places of great danger, which would make this place even more dangerous. Mount Skeleton was such a place of great danger. It had natural patterns, and after they built it, it became even more dangerous. 3 saint emperors once chose to rest here. One of them was a powerful warrior close to the completion of the saint realm, similar to Lord Kuan. How could the Mount Skeleton not be dangerous? Rustle, 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 walking at the foot of the mountain of bones, Luli noticed many bones. Many of them had turned yellow. Clearly, they had been here for a long time. More than a dozen miles later, Luli realized that the Mount of Bones lived up to its name. There were bones everywhere. Luli had seen at least thousands of bones along the way. Along the way, he also discovered many broken divine imprints. One could imagine that there were many divine imprints set up here in the past, but the outer layer had all been destroyed. Since Blood Fairy was investigating on the ground, Luli did not have to worry about the runes. He hurried to the depth of the skeleton mountain. He needed to find a dangerous place, because even he could easily walk through safe places, so how could he trap the cultivators of the Heavenly Dog race, Crimson Dragon race, and Four-Armed race? Luli's only advantage was Blood Fairy. There were powerful runes here, and Blood Fairy could decipher some. As long as he entered a great hall with powerful divine inscriptions, he would be able to rely on those divine inscriptions to obstruct the pursuit of experts. Thousands of miles and more than a dozen mountains later, Luli noticed that many divine glyphs were still intact, and some of them were still powerful. There were more and more bones. Many of them had half of their bodies or their heads exploded. Clearly, they were killed by the divine inscriptions. Master, you must come with me. One wrong move and you may trigger the divine inscriptions. Also, the divine inscriptions here are interconnected. Triggering one will trigger the other divine inscriptions. Blood Fairy said. Luli nodded. He felt something was off as well. The mountains here were like giant beasts that were entrenched on the ground. There was an invisible force that permeated the air, giving people a great deal of pressure. What? It's foggy. Another 1,000 miles later, Luli noticed that it was foggy here. In a mountain like this, foggy was not a good thing. The foggy was a type of divine inscriptions, which meant that many of the divine inscriptions here had not been deciphered. This place would be more dangerous. Blood Fairy led the way and Luli followed. After the time for one incense stick to burn, Luli's eyes glowed. He could vaguely see a palace up ahead. The palace was magnificent. One look and Luli could tell that there must be treasures in there. Luli was not interested in the treasures. He just wanted to find a safe place to cultivate. If he could enter this palace, it might be a good choice. Psychic power was restricted here. Luli could only rely on his eyes. The foggy was indeed a powerful divine inscriptions. Luli observed the palace carefully. Out of instinct, he wanted to go forward. Master, wake up. This palace isn't a real palace, it's an illusion. Blood Fairy's words made Luli break out in a cold sweat. Just now, he did have the urge to go to the palace, but it turned out to be fake. If he had gone forward, he would have stepped into a trap and triggered the divine inscriptions, which would have resulted in his death. Every step is dangerous. Luli did not dare to look around. He followed Blood Fairy. Blood Fairy did not lead him in a straight line. Instead, she took many turns, which made Luli dizzy. What was more, the foggy was so thick that he could not tell which way was. Master, there is no way forward. There is only a cave. You can either go into the cave or go back. An hour later, Blood Fairy sent him a message. Luli was surprised. He waved his hand and said, "Into the cave." Since they had reached the cave safely, then the cave must be connected to a tomb. Luli had been looking for the tomb and would use the divine inscriptions in the tomb to fend off enemies. He was right. After the time for one incense stick to burn, they came to a cave. It seemed to be natural, but Luli saw many divine inscriptions both inside and outside the cave. Someone has been in here. The divine inscriptions on the outside have been cracked. Blood Fairy said after a while and added, "Yes, but there are still many divine inscriptions. Master, I have a feeling that if we go in, we will not be able to go back. There is a special divine inscription here that will cut off your way back. Let's go." He had come this far. What else could he hesitate about? Even if there were mountains of swords and seas of fire, he had to go. Powerful warriors of the Heavenly Hound, Crimson Dragon, and the four-armed race would be here soon. He had no time to waste. He must find a safe place as soon as possible. Luli followed Blood Fairy into the cave. As soon as he was 1,000 feet into the cave, a ray of light shone. Luli felt a suction force coming from inside. Even with his abilities, he could not stop it. He was sucked into the depths of the cave. "Master, do not panic. Do not move." In a blur, Blood Fairy dashed into Luli's body and said, "The pattern will only suck you in. If you move, you will be strangled to death. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Sect Leader's Mobile Version." Chapter 3051. Luli felt he had fallen into a bottomless abyss. He didn't even know how far he had flown. He felt like time had gone haywire and his mind was in a trance. Finally, he fell to the ground with a bang and he rolled on the ground. Luli looked around. To his surprise, he was in a hall, a magnificent one. There were huge stone pillars everywhere. The hall had a radius of 3 miles. "This is good." Luli took a look. There were many doors here, at least more than 20. All of them were closed and glowing. Clearly, there were runes and inhibition formations on them. The more doors there were, the more paths there would be. It would be more difficult to find Luli. Every door was connected to a path. It would take a long time for Luli to search all the paths. Waving his hand, Luli said, "Blood Fairy, it's up to you now. Crack the inhibition formations on the doors. I will go in several doors. Just open the doors. Don't destroy the inhibition formations." Luli suspected that the dingo race could track him down because they could lock onto his energy. If so, he would go in more doors and mislead them into going in. In this way, it would be more difficult to track him down. The inhibition formations on the doors were not difficult. In half a day, Blood Fairy had cracked one door. Luli told Blood Fairy to continue while he went in through the door. It was a corridor. After some thought, he unleashed his divine dragon transformation to make his aura even stronger. He walked along the corridor and continued forward. Thousands of miles later, another door appeared. Luli thought about it. He took out a saber, cut his hand open, and wiped the blood on the door. With all this done, Luli left. He waited for Blood Fairy to crack the doors. This time, Blood Fairy seemed to be more experienced. In 2 hours, she had cracked the inhibition formation on another door. He repeated the same thing. Luli went into this corridor again and smeared his blood on the door. In this way, his energy would linger for a long time. Enemies would follow the trail and search for him. At the very least, their powerful warriors could buy them some time. Just like that, Luli had Blood Fairy crack more than a dozen doors. He went in more than a dozen times as well. He left his energy in every place and left blood on every door. In the end, he asked Blood Fairy to activate all the divine inscriptions on the doors, and he randomly chose a path to enter. Before they went in, Luli asked Blood Fairy to build some simple runes in the hall. Those runes were not of much use. Luli could feel them by touching them. Luli did some himself. After entering the passageway and arriving at the door, Blood Fairy continued to break the spell formation. It took Luli half a day to get through this door. After he went in, he found himself in a small hall. He was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he asked Blood Fairy, "Can I put some divine runes on this door? I don't need it to be powerful, just make it harder for the enemy to crack it." Blood Fairy understood what Luli meant. As long as they could stop the pursuers, it would be fine. The harder the door was, the better. "Master, go ahead and cultivate. I'll make some more arrangements. It might take a few days," Blood Fairy said. Luli nodded and sat down on the ground. Blood Fairy began to work. Luli continued to study the skill of transfiguration. He could not worry too much. After all, if the enemy broke down the door, he would not be able to escape. He might as well focus on his cultivation. Soon, 4 to 5 days passed. Blood Fairy had built 5 divine inscriptions. Her skill in formations was comparable to that of a grandmaster. Not even a saint emperor could crack it. "Let's go." Luli opened his eyes and walked forward with Blood Fairy. There was nothing in this small hall except for 2 doors. Blood Fairy cracked them easily. A door opened, and inside was a small hall. There were many divine materials inside, and they were piled up like mountains. Blood Fairy dashed out. Luli was intrigued. "What is it? Is this material useful to you?" he asked. "Yes," Blood Fairy said excitedly, "this crystal is useful to me. It's very useful." "Good." Luli was overjoyed. Whether or not Blood Fairy could evolve, it was good that she could consume the crystals. Luli collected all the crystals into a corner of the separation of heaven bead and said, "Blood Fairy, I will put the crystals away for you. Take your time to consume them. Now, solve the other door." Blood Fairy went to crack the other door while Luli put away the rest of the materials. He was not here to hunt for treasures, but he would not miss out on treasures and materials. After the door was broken, Luli pushed it open and went in. He found himself in a valley. The valley was filled with chilly wind, full of danger. As soon as Luli stepped into the valley, his hair stood on end. He sensed danger in his soul. He had a feeling that something powerful was lurking in the valley. "Do something about this door as well." Looking at the door behind him, Luli said to Blood Fairy. He did not cultivate. Instead, he used the trace of the great path to sense the depth of the valley. The valley was covered with a thick black fog. It was a vast valley of unknown length. Clearly, something powerful was lurking in the depth of the valley. Luli wondered if it was a monster or a beast. Blood Fairy was building runes in the door. After a while, Luli decided not to worry anymore. He sat down to cultivate. This time, in merely 3 days, Blood Fairy was done. When she came back, Luli took out the holy mountain and dashed in. Then, he flew the holy mountain forward. The holy mountain's defense was very strong. Ordinary attacks could not break through the holy mountain's defense. Luli was not here to hunt for treasures. Naturally, he would not risk his life to fight against the beasts here. Instead, there were powerful beasts here that could help him stop the pursuers. Therefore, Luli only needed to fly the holy mountain over this part of the valley. He did not need to fight the beasts here. 5 miles, 30 miles, 300 miles. Suddenly, a deafening roar rang out in front of them. Following that, a gigantic insect flew over from below. This insect's entire body was shiny, as if it was made of cold iron. It had many legs and 4 gigantic pincers. Its body was at least 300 meters long, and it looked like a hybrid between a scorpion and a centipede. Boom! The insect flew over and stabbed at the holy mountain with its claws. The holy mountain trembled but was fine. Luli was relieved. He flew the holy mountain over quickly. Woo woo woo, it was as if a hornet's nest had been poked. Countless beasts flew up. As far as the eye could see, there was no end to them. Luli wondered how many there were. Good, good. Luli was not surprised. Instead, he was delighted. If he wanted to go over, he would have to kill all the beasts first. That would take time, and what he needed was time. 3,000 miles. The valley was 3,000 miles long. There must be tens of thousands of beasts in there. Luli saw a desert at the end of the valley. His heart skipped a beat. How come this place was like a world? Was this a world created by a saint emperor? Otherwise, how could it be so large? Let's go. The larger and more complicated this place was, the more difficult it would be for the pursuers to find him. Luli didn't worry about that. He flew the holy mountain forward. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Sect Leader's Mobile Version. Chapter 3052. Goen sneaked into the Yin and Yang universe with Aou and 3 other patriarchs of the Red Dragon race. Given their abilities, it was easy for them to hide their chi and energy. As long as they didn't run into powerful saint emperors, they would not be discovered. Goen first went to the place near the Yin and Yang universe where more than a dozen of their race were killed by Luli. He sensed Luli's remaining chi and energy. Then, he entered the Yin and Yang universe and tracked Luli's chi and energy. Admittedly, the Heaven Hound race was very good at tracking. It only took Goen more than half a month to reach the foot of the Mountain of Bones. This human kid is smart. Standing at the foot of the Mountain of Bones, Goen exclaimed. Clearly, Luli knew that powerful warriors were after him. He didn't run away. Instead, he entered the Yin and Yang universe and entered the Mountain of Bones. Clearly, he was trying to avoid being tracked. Being smart is useless. Aoyun, a patriarch of the Red Dragon race, said, "The Mountain of Bones is dangerous, but how can he go to such a dangerous place? If he can go there, we can go there as well." He wants to use the Mountain of Bones to avoid being tracked. With Patriarch Goen here, we can find him even if he is hiding in a corner. Don't be so sure. Goen shook his head. He may have learned Xiao Mo's skills. He can change his appearance and his chi and energy are changing as well. If it is not our race, it will be hard for other races to track him down. We must speed up. If Xiao Mo has really taught him skills, it will be hard for us to find him when he has mastered them. Xiao Mo's skills of escaping were unparalleled. Not even the Heaven Hound race could track him down. Otherwise, Xiao Mo would have been killed. Back in the days, many races had asked the Heaven Hound race for help but to no avail. 5 powerful warriors moved on quickly with Goen leading the way. There were many runes along the way but Goen's detection skills were impressive. He could avoid them easily. In half a day, Goen had found the cave. Luli's chi and energy reached into the cave. The Saint Emperors were fearless and directly flew into the cave. They were also sucked in by the powerful suction force. Boom! Several powerful warriors were smashed into the hall, but they didn't fall down like Luli. Instead, they stood firmly in the hall. As soon as they landed, they used psychic power to look around for Luli. After scanning the area and finding nothing, a few experts of the Crimson Dragon race flashed around, wanting to open the door. Don't move. All of a sudden, Goen noticed the runes in the ground. They were small runes that Luli and Blood Fairy had randomly built. Unfortunately, it was too late. 2 elders from the Crimson Dragon race had already stepped on the divine inscriptions. "What's wrong, Grand Elder Goen?" Aoyun asked in bewilderment. It wasn't that they hadn't detected these divine imprints before. These were just small divine imprints that looked like remnants of divine imprints. It didn't have any power at all. These small divine inscriptions were set up by that human. He should know that we came in, Goen said with a frown. Those patterns clearly did not match the ones in the hall. They seemed to be of a low level. It must be Luli's work. Whatever. Aoyu waved his hand and said, "So what if he knows? Could he still fly to the sky?" "Elder Goen, which door did he enter?" "Which door?" Goen looked around blankly and then closed his eyes to sense for a while. He smiled bitterly and said, "There are more than 10 doors with his aura. This lad is very crafty. Aou and the others were surprised. Then Aoyin waved his hand and said, "No matter which door it is, let's break it down first. Let's go down one by one. This should be a sub-burial area. It must be dangerous. That lad is only at the Emperor realm. How far can he go?" Boom, boom, boom. Several elders began to break down the doors by force. Rough as it was effective. The divine inscriptions on the doors were not particularly strong. At their realm, it was not difficult to break them down by force. It was just a matter of time. Goen also walked to a door. He did not break down the formation by force. Instead, he began to decipher the divine inscriptions. He was quite accomplished in divine inscriptions. The heavenly hound race was good at tracking and had studied divine inscriptions. Buzzing. In less than half a day, Goen had cracked the door, but Aou and the others hadn't. The divine inscriptions here were strong. They could not be cracked so easily. Goen went in at once. Soon, he reached the end of the corridor and found another door. He tried but did not decipher the divine inscriptions on the door. Instead, he left. "What is it?" Aou looked at Goen, who said coldly, "This lad is trying to mislead us. There is another door in here. I can't sense his energy behind the door. He didn't go in from here." Boom. After a while, another door was blasted open. Goen went in but came out soon. He said, "Not this way either." Goen went on to the next door while Aou and the others kept on. Soon, 3 more doors were blasted open. Goen tried to sense. None of them were the ones Luli went in. Goen was experienced. He spent 2 hours to crack a door. This time, he was not so lucky. This door was not the one Luli went in. Half a day later, Goen finally found the right door. Arriving at the door, Goen tried to sense and shouted, "Come in." He went in from here. Aou and the others swarmed over. Aou's hand glowed as he said, "Patriarch Goen, take a break. We will blast this door open." Goen laughed, shook his head and said, "Aou, I am not belittling you. I don't think the 4 of you can do it for a year." "How is that possible?" Aou clearly did not believe it. He released another powerful attack. The door glowed with 5 or 6 different colors. Not only did the door not shake, but it also felt heavy. Goen sneered again and said, "If it were just the original divine glyphs on the door, you might be able to blast it open in a day. But there are several divine glyphs on the back of the door. When stacked together, the defense is amazing. This human kid's attainments in divine glyphs may not be weaker than mine. He is only at the Emperor realm, and he is a human. How rare." "That is impossible." Aou still did not believe it. He said, "That kid is young, no more than 2,000 years old. How can he be so good at divine glyph? He is a human and he does not have talent in divine glyph." 2,000 years old? Goen's eyes glowed. He exclaimed, "Then there is no other explanation. I can only say that he is a genius in this." The divine glyphs were not designed by Luli. Luli did not have much attainments in divine glyph. He was so young that he did not even have time to cultivate. Divine glyphs required a long time to study and accumulate. It was not something that could be achieved overnight. Blood Fairy's talent was in divine glyph. She had evolved many times. More importantly, she was a goblin and did not have human emotions. She had nothing to do every day except to study divine glyphs and then divine glyph. That was why she was progressing so fast. "I hope nothing goes wrong." Aou was worried when he saw that Goen was analyzing the divine glyphs with a serious look. He could not let Luli escape or else he would not know how to explain to Aoding when he went back. P.S. Chapter 4. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Sect Leader's Mobile Version. Chapter 3053. They are here. When Ao Yun and the others stepped on the runes, Lu Li felt it. He crushed the jade talisman in his hand at once and told the waiter to spread the news. Lu Li was still in the desert. The desert seemed to be boundless. He had been flying for a long time and yet, he had not reached the end. Wait, Lu Li sensed something was off. Though the holy mountain was not flying at full speed, it was still horrifying. He had been flying for days and yet, he had not reached the end. There must be a natural formation of illusion in the desert. Blood Fairy, full speed. After all, there was no danger in the desert. They had been flying for such a long time without encountering any beasts or beasts. Nothing would go wrong. The holy mountain flew fast. At the top of its speed, it was even faster than sacred ancestor Yuan. In the time for 10 breaths, it could cover hundreds of thousands of miles. Unless it was another yin and yang world, one could easily fly to the end of this world. However, Lu Li had been flying for 2 hours and still, he had not reached the end. During the 2 hours, Lu Li had been observing the surrounding terrain. What surprised him was, during the 2 hours, he did not fly over the same terrain. He did not feel like he was flying in an illusion. Blood Fairy, I think we are in a super illusion, Lu Li said. He did not believe that this place was boundless. The only explanation would be that there was a formation of illusion, the most powerful one, the likes of which had never been seen before. Really? Blood Fairy listened to Lu Li's description carefully. After a long moment of silence, she said, Master, fly around and send me everything you see. I will analyze it. Okay. Lu Li began to check and sent his findings to Blood Fairy. He had been flying for half a day. He had sent many messages to Blood Fairy, but she gave no response. Lu Li had no other choice. He had to keep going and wait for Blood Fairy to finish her analysis. After waiting for 2 days, Blood Fairy finally said, Master, you're right. There is an illusory formation here, and a naturally formed one at that. It'll be difficult to break, and I'll need some time. I'll need at least half a month. Half a month? Lu Li was having a headache. The pursuers had gone inside. Who could tell what kind of powerful warriors they were chasing this time? What if a few old monsters with deep attainments in the field of divine inscriptions came? Lu Li wasn't sure how long it would take for the pursuers to catch up. Continue flying. The sacred mountain kept moving forward. Lu Li didn't mind it anymore. He sat on the sacred mountain to study the skill of transfiguration. Different situations call for different actions. It was pointless to overthink. Lu Li's worries were unfounded. Goen was still at the second gate. Goen was going to crack the formation in person. The patriarchs of the Red Dragon race knew divine glyphs, but they were not as proficient as Goen. Although Goen could be considered to be proficient in divine inscriptions, he still needed time to decipher them. It was easy to set up divine inscriptions, but difficult to decipher. Blood Fairy's divine inscriptions were stacked on top of each other. The more complex the divine inscriptions were, the more complex they became. This wasn't a concept of 1 + 1 = 2, and the difficulty of deciphering them would increase exponentially. 2 months. According to Goen's estimation, it would take at least 2 months to crack it. Goen was not in a hurry. Now that Lu Li was here, where else could he go? It was just a last-ditch struggle. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Blood Fairy's voice rang out. Master, I've solved it. Watch me fly you out. Okay. Lu Li was cheered up. He flew toward the sacred mountain. This time, he didn't fly in a straight line. Lu Li was getting dizzy from all the twists and turns. After flying for 3 to 4 days, he finally saw a valley. This was not the first one, but another one. Lu Li flew into the sacred mountain. Inside, there were those creatures that were the combination of scorpions and centipedes. The entire valley was filled with them. Lu Li flew past the sacred mountain and arrived at the end of the valley. There was another gate. Blood Fairy went to decipher the divine inscriptions, while Luli continued to cultivate. After half a day, the gate was cracked open. Luli found himself in a hall. He told Blood Fairy to continue to lay down divine inscriptions on the gate. He needed to rely on them to stop the pursuers. This is not bad, Luli thought. He could enter one gate after another and ask Blood Fairy to lay down divine inscriptions on each gate. After all, he didn't have to do anything. He could just cultivate in the sacred mountain. In this way, he could cultivate along the way. He didn't have to worry about anything. The defense of the sacred mountain was strong enough. He didn't have to worry about anything in the sacred mountain. No problem. He communicated with Blood Fairy telepathically for a while, and Blood Fairy agreed without hesitation. Luli began to cultivate. Blood Fairy flew the sacred mountain forward. There was nothing in the hall except for a gate at the end. Blood Fairy broke the gate open and continued to lay down divine inscriptions on the gate. She was interested in laying down divine inscriptions. More importantly, there was a warrior behind her who was deciphering the divine inscriptions. She could tell that the divine inscriptions she laid on the second gate were being deciphered. She could feel it. Blood Fairy was not a human being. She did not have complicated emotions. To her, studying divine inscriptions was everything. It was something she enjoyed doing. Naturally, she was happy to be able to fight against a warrior. She laid down the formations and the warrior behind her solved the problems. This was a game. It was as fun as a game. There were 2 more gates in the hall. Blood Fairy went to crack the 2 gates herself after she was done. One of the gates contained some materials. Blood Fairy didn't even tell Luli. She just put the materials into the sacred mountain. Just like that, Luli cultivated in the sacred mountain while Blood Fairy moved forward. Every time she cracked a gate, she would add some divine inscriptions to the gate. Every time, the divine inscriptions would be different. Blood Fairy was like a happy child. She set up some chess games and waited for Gohan to solve them. Time zipped by. Blood Fairy went through one hall after another. In many halls, she found materials, elixirs, and some treasures. Blood Fairy did not know how to use them. She put everything she found on the sacred mountain and piled them up in the pond. In over a month, Blood Fairy had cracked more than a dozen gates. She laid divine inscriptions on all the gates. Every time, the divine inscriptions were different. Buzzing finally, Gohan opened the door. They rushed in. There were 2 doors. One was open. Luli had put away the materials inside, but the other door was closed. There are powerful divine inscriptions on this gate. Gohan scouted for a moment before he scratched his head, feeling a headache coming on. If there were powerful divine inscriptions engraved on every single door, how much of a headache would it be to decipher them? Bastard, I would like to see how well you can run away. Gohan snorted. His eyes flickered. He made up his mind. If he could capture Luli, he would torture him to vent his anger. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Leader's mobile version. Chapter 3054. Boom 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 boom. In a canyon, 4 Saint Emperors attacked violently, killing monsters one after another. The beasts were strong in defense and fast. Their only weakness was that they were not strong in offense. Therefore, it was only a matter of time even though it was difficult to clear them out. You didn't even ask Gohan to do it. The 4 of them killed all the beasts along the way. The beasts had no intelligence. If they were not killed, they would keep attacking. There were tens of thousands of beasts in the valley. Not even you could kill one beast in one move. Also, they couldn't use their strongest attacks in a prolonged fight. Every time they killed a beast, it would take them the time for half an incense stick to burn. That being said, the beasts could not hurt the Red Dragon race's patriarchs. It was only a matter of time. The 4 patriarchs of the Red Dragon race were not in a hurry, but Gohan was. He had a feeling that Luli had learned the skills of the Xiaomo. If he really got the legacy of the Shao demon, then it would be hard for him to capture Luli after he mastered those secret skills. After spending more than 5 days, they finally cleared out all the monsters. The 5 powerhouses also walked into the desert. Seeing this desert, the group of experts was startled. Looking at the vast wilderness, Ao Yun murmured, "Could this be a sacrificial Dharma realm? Is this the main tomb area? Otherwise, how can it be so big?" Ao Yun and the others knew the tombs well. Usually, the tombs of powerful warriors would be divided into the main tomb area, sub-tombs area and some fake tombs area. Every tomb area would have some treasures, but the layout of the sub-tombs and the main tomb area would be different. "Let's go. We will find it soon." Ao Yu flew up and wanted to fly forward, but he noticed that Goen didn't move. Ao Yu asked, "Patriarch Go, what is it?" Ahead, Goen's eyes were filled with confusion as he said, "That human's aura is everywhere in front of us. It feels like that human is constantly going in circles." "Going in circles?" Ao Yu and the others looked at each other. Ao Yun asked, "Even if he is going in circles, how many times can he go? We are following his presence. We are fast. What does it matter? Let's go. Let's chase after them first." Goen checked for a while and then flew forward with them. Goen followed Lu Li's chi and energy along the way. Goen and the others were very fast. After flying for half a day, Goen suddenly stopped. Ao Yu and the others also stopped. Ao Yu asked, "What's wrong?" "Elder Go." "Something's wrong." Goen scanned the surroundings in bewilderment. After pondering for a moment, he said, "I finally know why I feel that Brat's aura is constantly circling around here. It's because there's a super powerful maze array here, and we're also trapped in it." "Maze? I don't feel anything," a Crimson Dragon Elder exclaimed. "I feel like the surrounding scenery is constantly changing. We didn't go back." Goen glanced at the Grand Elder and said, "That's why I said that this is an extremely powerful maze. I feel that this might be the main tomb area. This maze is very powerful. If we can't break this maze, we might be trapped here for the rest of our lives. You might not have noticed, but there are quite a number of skeletons below." Ao Yu pondered and asked, "Is that human Brat still inside?" "Not anymore." Goen shook his head and said, "He left for a period of time. The aura left here is very, very faint. If he can escape, why can't we?" Ao Yun said unconvinced, "Why don't we split up and look for a way out?" Goen didn't say anything. Since Ao Yun was unconvinced, then let him go and check. Anyway, those who were lost and trapped inside were not experts of their heavenly dog race. Ao Yu glanced at Goen and reprimanded, "Ao Yun, don't mess around. Listen to Grand Elder Go." Although Ao Yun was unhappy, he didn't dare to disobey Ao Yu. He could only lower his head and not speak. Goen also didn't say anything. He flew around with the 4 Grand Elders and explored the terrain. This investigation lasted for 5 days. Goen finally had some ideas. He stopped and went to the ground. He began to circle around and study alone. This went on for another half a month. Finally, Goen looked up and said with a smile, "Okay, I have cracked it. This is all thanks to the idea that human Brat gave me. Otherwise, it would not have been so fast." "That Brat is so skilled in sacred glyphs?" Ao Yu looked uneasy. This place looked more and more like the main burial ground. They might be able to dig out some treasures, but they were more concerned about completing Ao Ding's task and bringing Luli back. Everyone chased into the canyon, only to find that there were countless monsters here. They fought hard for a few days and killed all the monsters before they arrived at a door. Damn it! Goen wanted to swear when he saw the complicated sacred glyphs on the door. There were 3 more sacred glyphs here than the previous door. The sacred glyphs were even more complicated. It took Goen more than half a month to crack this door. When Goen opened the door and walked in, he saw another door with 7 or 8 different glows. Piece of sh*t. This time, Goen could not stand it any more. He rolled his eyes and said, "Send a message back. Ask your race to send a powerful warrior in sacred glyphs here. I will die of exhaustion if I have to solve the sacred glyphs alone." "That strong?" Aou frowned and asked, "Patriarch Goen, can you work hard for a while? We will reward you handsomely." "Not at all." Goen shook his head and said, "This brat is ahead of us. He can solve the sacred glyphs much faster than I can. We will never catch up with him like this. I don't have to guess. All the doors behind us are covered with sacred glyphs. We will never be able to catch up with him at this rate." "Okay, fine." Aou nodded. He took out a token and crushed it. After the time for one incense stick to burn, the space nearby began to tremble. Then, a face appeared in front of them. "Cauldron King." Aou and Aou bowed at once, and so did Goen. This was Ao Ding's avatar. He was one of the most powerful warriors of the Red Dragon race, and one of the most powerful in the region of Infinite Star. Naturally, Goen had to bow. "What's the situation?" Ao Ding asked with a hint of dissatisfaction in his tone. Aoyue hurriedly reported the situation. At the end, Goen added, "Cauldron Sovereign, Goen is useless. If the Crimson Dragon race doesn't have any experts proficient in divine inscriptions, you can go to my race and we will send reinforcements." "There's no need." Ao Ding coldly snorted and said, "You guys continue to track. I will arrange for Patriarch to come later. His attainment in sacred glyphs is ranked first in my race. I hope you guys will not disappoint me this time." "Cauldron Emperor is referring to Ao Chi?" Aou's eyes lit up. The Red Dragon race's strongest expert in sacred glyphs was Ao Chi. If he really came, it would be very easy to solve these sacred glyphs. End of this chapter. Chapter 3055. At the moment, Lu Li did not even know where he was. Blood Fairy would carry out Lu Li's orders without any hesitation. She went from hall to hall. She would put away any treasures in the hall into the Holy Mountain. If there was any danger, she would control the Holy Mountain to move forward quickly. It passed by a large hall that had many large trees. Those large trees would pierce out tree roots that were extremely sharp and terrifying. Fortunately, the sacred mountain's defenses were strong enough to block those tree roots. There was another hall with statues. Usually, the statues would not move. But after passing the Holy Mountain, they would suddenly attack. Once, the Holy Mountain was smashed away for hundreds of feet. Fortunately, the statues could not move. Blood Fairy controlled the Holy Mountain to fly away. 18 gates. Blood Fairy remembered that she had passed by 18 gates. She had placed many divine patterns on each gate. The more she did, the more she learned. Blood Fairy would find a way to combine the divine patterns. When several divine patterns were combined, the divine patterns would mutate, which would increase the difficulty of deciphering. Blood Fairy did not care about anything else. She did not care if there was any danger ahead. Her only concern was to decipher the divine patterns until she reached the end. When there was nowhere else to go or something beyond her control, she would send a message to Lu Li. In the blink of an eye, another month had gone by. Blood Fairy had passed through 4 or 5 palaces before arriving at a valley. She had come to a stop because she had found a tree. She sensed something unusual about this tree. She was not a warrior, but she could not tell what was unusual about it. "What is going on?" Lu Li was woken up. As soon as Blood Fairy sent the message, he used psychic power to check. There was indeed something unusual about the tree. This tree looked very ordinary on the outside. It was neither tall nor large, and there were no spirit fruits on it. However, there was an inexplicable charm to this tree that made people feel very mysterious. Buzzing. Lu Li teleported out. He stood under the tree and observed carefully. The tree was old. The bark was old, but the leaves were lush and green. The leaves were oval. The tree did not look much different from an average tree. Luli walked around the tree. Then, he sat down on the ground and used the trace of Tao to sense. After the time for one incense stick to burn, Luli did not find anything different. The only thing he felt was that the tree was filled with an indescribable sense of Tao. Let's try cultivating. After some thoughts, Luli sat down with his legs crossed to cultivate. Soon, he opened his eyes in shock. Cultivating under this tree, he felt that his mind was much clearer and more agile. It seemed that cultivating under this tree would be faster and smoother. This is a treasure tree. Luli's eyes lit up. He walked around the tree and pondered for a moment. Then, he put his hands around the tree and tried to pull it out of the ground. Luli's strength was great. If it were an average tree, it would have been pulled out easily. However, he had exerted all his strength and the tree didn't move a bit. There are divine inscriptions protecting it. Luli shouted at once, "Blood Fairy, go underground and check the runes around the tree. Destroy the runes protecting the tree. I want to move the tree to the holy mountain." "Alright." Blood Fairy immediately burrowed into the ground. After a while, she discovered that the entire tree was protected by divine glyph. After half a day, she said, "Master, the divine inscriptions here are strong. It will take at least 2 months to crack them. Are you sure you want to do it?" 2 months? Luli frowned and asked, "Where are we now? Can you sense the exact location of our pursuers?" "I don't know. But we have passed through 23 doors and I have placed divine inscriptions on all of them." Blood Fairy answered, "They are in the small hall where you cultivate. There are 23 doors away from us. Under normal circumstances, it will take them at least half a year to get here." "Okay. Let's solve the divine inscriptions on this tree." Luli did not hesitate. He asked Blood Fairy to crack the formations while he sat under the tree to cultivate. Cultivating under the tree, he felt he could achieve twice the result with half the effort. His mind was clearer and he could cultivate faster. He had made progress on the skill of transfiguration. Cultivating under the tree would be faster. He was right. After cultivating under the tree for several days, Luli felt he was making rapid progress. Previously, there were some things that he could not figure out, but now, he could. Soon, a month and a half passed. Another 3 patriarchs of the Red Dragon race entered the Yin and Yang universe. They were sent by Ao Ding. One of them was Ao Chi, who was proficient in skills. They went straight to the Skeleton Mountain. What they didn't expect was that the moment they arrived at the Skeleton Mountain, they discovered that there was a sea of people outside the Skeleton Mountain. They were all warriors, and the mountain had been sealed. What is going on? According to previous information, there were not many warriors on Mountain of Bones. Or, it had been years since any powerful warriors came here to hunt for treasures. The places that should be searched had been searched. Only the dangerous places were left unexplored. It was said that the main hall was cracked open and most of the treasures were taken away. The reason why this place was bustling was because of the rumor. All of this was because of Luli's plan, the work of that waiter. Luli asked the waiter to spread the news. The waiter wanted to earn thousands of celestial stones, but he didn't want to be hunted down by the Heaven Hound race and the Red Dragon race. Therefore, he made up a rumor. He didn't want to offend the major races, but he wanted to finish Luli's task. Therefore, he spread the word that treasures had come out of the Mountain of Bones. The main hall was not found. Recently, there was a glow over there. It was possible that the halberd of Emperor Yong, the owner of the main hall tomb, had come out. The 33 races were alarmed. Powerful warriors of the 33 races had sneaked into the Mountain of Bones. Rumors spread fast. Recently, many powerful warriors had noticed that there were many scouts of the Red Dragon race and the Heaven Hound race outside the Yin and Yang universe. The 4-armed race had sent scouts as well. It was said that many powerful warriors were on their way. Why were the scouts of the 33 races gathering outside the yin and yang universe? This in itself was very strange. Hence, a large family clan immediately stealthily headed towards Mount Skeleton. They also had experts who were proficient in tracking, and they successfully sensed the aura of the Crimson Dragon race's experts. The aura of the Crimson Dragon race's experts was too thick, and it was very difficult to conceal. The powerful warriors of the Red Dragon race had entered the Mountain of Bones. When the news was spread out, the Yin and Yang universe was shocked. Powerful warriors of the 33 races were not allowed to come in. Now that the Red Dragon race had sneaked in, the rumor must be true. Emperor Yong. That was the name of the powerful warrior buried in the deepest part of the Mountain of Bones. He was a warrior that was very close to the consummate realm. He had a powerful relic weapon, the halberd of Emperor Yong, that had never shown up. It was said that this weapon was one of the most powerful relic weapons. Naturally, many powerful warriors of the major races were interested. What should we do? The two Saint Emperors looked at Aochi. This time, Aochi was the leader. Aochi had been with the Red Dragon race for a long time. Ao Ding had said that the two of them were here to protect Aochi. What else can we do? Aochi made up his mind and said, since Cauldron King has given the order, we must go to the Mountain of Bones no matter what. So what if we are exposed? The major races of the Yin and Yang universe won't dare to kill us. At worst, the wild race will come after us. We won't die. Let's go. The other two Saint Emperors clenched their teeth and followed Aochi. Soon, they disappeared into the vast mountain range. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Leader's mobile version. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.